Welcome to the United States. Well, you're a British. Turkey? British? American. Okay, anyway, okay.
Good evening. The time is now 5:09 p.m. and I call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me. Mr. Alleman?
Present.
Ms. Lewis is not in. Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Priestley is not in. Ms. Winfrey Carter is not in. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Present.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Present.
Mr. Jarrett? Present. You have 5 members present.
We have 5 members present. Are there any requests for agenda changes or additions? Seeing as how there are no requests for agenda changes or additions, I believe the law department has requested that we go into a closed session. I will turn it over to the attorney to state the reason why.
That is correct, Councilperson. The Law Department is requesting that the committee go into closed session pursuant to Section 8 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss strategy and possible settlements of a number of damage claims the city has received.
All right, thank you. Roll call, Madam. Go ahead. Please stop yelling out. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
Is this subject to the 2/3 rule?
No, because we might not even get it. So
I
it's
know
not.
that, but it'd still be subject to 2/3. I know that.
I think our rules now say majority.
You're going to have to give me a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
I'm
Bill
not
right
sure.
there? Here comes Bill.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
there also should be a motion to go into closed session.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. The motion has been made by Councilman Pfeiffer. Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported.
Madam Chair, through you to Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim, is this a 2/3 of the elected body? I know there's 2 different provisions. That one requires 5, one requires 6.
Let me just double check the language just to be certain, but I believe it's 2/3 of the members who are voting, which at this point would be, because the charter requires the decisions to be made by a majority of the members voting, would be 5. So it would require that all 5 of the members currently present be vote to go into closed session. But let me double check. Actually, I was sorry, to correct myself, that is per MCL 15.267, it requires a 2/3 roll call vote of members elected or appointed and serving.
So it's 6.
Yes, that would require 6 at this point, so.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to,
We might,
you want- nobody else is coming? So they're just late? So everybody else is late?
point of order. We still up under discussion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, clock's still going. I guess I'll yield.
You say you.
I'll yield.
Do you want the
Madam,
floor?
If you want the
Okay.
floor.
Through you to the city attorney, these damage claims, are they the damage claims in reference of the sewer backup?
There are a number that include, and
Oh,
there are a number of damage claims. 2 of them are sewer backup claims, but don't want to discuss more than that during an open meeting.
okay. And then the threshold that we had put on there was $5,000.
By resolution, the council put a $6,000 threshold for sewer backup damage claims.
So anything over $6,000 require our approval?
Correct.
So this, if we go into executive session now, we'll be going into executive session to discuss those that's over 6,000.
Correct.
Thank you. I'm done.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like the floor at this time? Seeing as no one else would like the floor, could you please state one more time why we're going to executive session so that my colleague may hear?
Yes, thank you again. It's to discuss damage claims the city, and the possible settlement of damage claims the city has received regarding various matters which are over $6,000, as Councilman Murphy just pointed out.
Madam Chair. Yes. I make a motion to table this until after resolutions, and I so move.
Table it till when?
After resolutions.
After resolutions.
I'm leaving anyways. You may have more people here.
Can we have support for that? There's a motion on the floor. It's been properly supported by the councilwoman in the 6th Ward. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Al-Alamin?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis is not in. Mr. Murphy?
No.
Ms. Priestley is not in. Ms. Winfrey Carter is not in. Ms. Burns?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 1 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 1 no. That has been tabled until after resolutions. It is now time for public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council at this time? Who's our first public speaker, Madam Clerk?
The first speaker is Bernadine Lorenzo.
I understand I have 3 minutes. I've never done this before. I'm a senior citizen, but I'm not senile. I'm of age to be called senile. But the reason for doing this is that I bought a house from Land Bank last year. Well, it's not a year yet, but I have trees that are hanging over my house. I have lead in my house, and they were supposed to come and remove the lead. They took me on TV to show people that what lead is, and I did a study, learn what it is, what I could do to children. I have 44 grandchildren, and I'm not able to let them come in the house because I thought by now it would have been fixed. It's not fixed, so I was trying to do what my father told me to do. It says that you have to love your brothers and sisters like yourself, and you wouldn't do nothing to them that you want done to you. Now I started living with mice in my house. I have mice coming out to the side of the house. I bought a lot of stuff to put that's supposed to kill mice, but
Point of order.
the siding is very.
I'm sorry, could you please pause our time one moment, ma'am? Yes,
We
sir.
don't have a quorum.
I think that doesn't that change?
It's fine. He's back. Thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, the siding of the house is real raggedy. I have 4 trees hanging over my house. It could fall in at any time. I informed Land Bank about the trees. They tried to ask me, do I want to buy it? I don't have the money to buy it. So by me buying it, that will take them out. If it fall on my house, they won't be responsible for it. So it's a lot. I'm at the end of the block. I live on 321 East Baker. I'm at the end of the block. So it's no house next to me and none behind me. It's just the grandchildren. I was able to let them come in the backyard and I could see them. No, it's not, because 2 of the trees have broken and they're hanging in my yard. And every time I call, I call at least 14 times. And they keep saying they're going to look into it. But so far, they haven't. So I don't think that's any type of love for somebody to go home. I know they say they have 9 members here that decide what's being done. But I could guarantee that no members here could, since December, could not sleep because they're hearing mice at night and they try to get it out. So the mice is coming from the outside. I don't have nothing dirty or filthy in my house where we'll draw them. But the siding is old, and now it's old enough for the little new mice to cut in and come into my house. So if someone could help me, most people think that senior citizens don't want anything. They just need a big building to stay in, and they give them a lot of games. They don't need inside. We've been inside long enough. We need something outside, something normal. And especially my grandkids. I love my 44, well, it's 43, 44 on the way, but I love my grandkids, and I have been able to let them come over and spend the night with you to the lead. And I did the study on the lead, and I found out how dangerous it is, so they can't come and spend the night. So if it's anything this council could do to get the lead going and to get my house in a normal condition, I'm not trying to ask for it to be no spectacular, but just be livable and decent. And I would appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Next public speaker, please.
The next speaker is R.L. Mitchell.
Hello, Flint. I'm R.L. Mitchell. I live at 759 East Linden Avenue, over on the north side, 3rd Ward, between 3rd Ward and Ward 1. And listen here, America, I woke up this morning going to going to Crossroads Village to the senior citizen appreciate whatever that. But as I thought about it, I'm not senile just because I'm a senior citizen, but I would have been senile if I would have got off that Copper Street bus and walked on that trail to Bluebell Beach in all that hot sun before I got to Crossroad Village. I thought about it, so I decided to go to Golden Gate instead. And on the way to Golden Gate, I went in there, I ordered a special breakfast, because I don't have much money in my pocket. But when I got through eating, they said, "Sir," it was taken care of. Some woman said, "Enjoy your breakfast, sir." and walked out the door, a woman of color. But I'm trying to say, we senior citizens, but on the way out of the restaurant, I ran into a little fellow named Quinez Davis. He told me to deliver this message. He said, whoever, I must be senile because I forgot who had his seat. He said, you won't be in that seat too long because whatever he talked, which one of y'all had Quinez Davis' seat? Tanya Byrne, which one? Oh, that's who he is. If I would have known he was told me to deliver the message, or she ain't here anyway. He said he coming back here to do some damage like Donald Trump. And where you going, Madam Chair? Now listen, you got to be looking at the public when they're talking to you. Talking about going in the back room, talking about damages. You trying to do damages now. I can't even call her name right. I must be getting senile as I talk, as a senior citizen. But anyway, I feel pretty good because I ate that breakfast this morning, but now I'm feeling kind of bad because this Quinez Davis, he's one that's going to take everybody out of prison and get them all jobs and try to keep people from throwing away $30 million down the drain. He told me to say, every last one of y'all, I'm still living this message. The little fella walking, I didn't know who he was. I thought he was one of the skinheads. He all muscle and bald-headed black skinhead dude with tattoos on. But then I said, man, he said, yeah, tell him. And I waited. Anyway, Councilman Murphy, you better deal with them teen challenge. They're the one that got to speak up for themselves. And you know this. And
Thank you. Next public speaker, please.
The next speaker is John McFadden.
Evening, Council. I would like to thank everybody that came out and just seen what we was talking about down there at Oak Park. But today, I'm not down here to talk about Oak Park. I'm here to talk about a lot of you guys' actions that you show us sitting out here. One, it looked like a coup to me. We got a council member talking about, call me when somebody come up here talking about $25,000 they wanted to get. Looked like a coup to me. And then on top of that, we had four other council members to vote on that. It's some illogical thinking right there for that. We need councilmen down here that's up and thinking logically. To get somebody $25,000, they're talking about go plant flowers is ridiculous. Trees, whatever it was. When we got the citizens down here in this city that need that type of money. $25,000 will go a long way. And y'all just want to give it away? That's ridiculous. And the second thing I would like to talk about, the allegations about money coming up missing. How come we ain't doing no type of investigation on that? It needs to be a complete investigation. $20,000 is a lot of money. Y'all can sit up here and say, this came up missing, that's missing. How come we ain't doing an investigation on that? The other thing I want to up and say is that the people that them took any type of gratuities, money, anything from any of these contractors out here, they should not never be able to vote on that cause. They should redeem themselves from voting on that. Because it won't look like a conflict of interest. Because you vote on stuff like that, that look like a conflict of interest. And this office right here is not showing no type of integrity. I did not say that right, but you know what I'm talking about. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Next public speaker, please.
The next speaker is Sherry Smith.
Hello, everybody. Sherry Smith. And I want to thank the first ward for coming out with the seniors today. because I seen nobody else, but I really do appreciate that, because like I told you, I like to give my time back. It ain't about a paycheck, it's about giving back sometimes. Let that be the reason. Also, I want to say to everybody that did come out to Crossroads Village to help the seniors today, thank everybody. It was a blessing. They had a successful day. Second of all, I want to speak about, when I sit out there, I just started coming. When I sit out there, I have nobody to look up to but a couple people up there. That's pathetic. Just being honest. Because all I see y'all doing is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Do you not know how that I was empowered by some women last week that showed me what being a woman is all about? Just being honest with y'all. I was embraced by some real women over there at the McCree building that showed me what looking up to a woman should be all about. Because when y'all get up here and y'all do this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, that's not showing none of these young people out here what it should be like to be sitting on that council. And whatever y'all got going on, when we come here, like I tell everybody, whatever happened yesterday, that's my yesterday. We gonna talk about what's going on today. So leave yesterday, please. Because y'all ain't showing our young people nothing to look up to, and I'm just being honest. Is this what y'all really wanna deflect out there into our world out here for our young people? They sit back and they look at all this and that. You think they wanna grow up to be like you? Think about it. Just being so serious with yourself. Learn to be a little bit more humble. Learn to forgive and forget. And remember, prayer is always good. Learn to walk by faith. You'll be all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Next public speaker, Madam Clerk.
AC Dumas?
My name is A.C. Dumas, and first of all, about the opera fund, especially 240169, that $2 million, you know, that shortfall, the trash contract, please vote no on that. Also, on the agenda, to really cut the finance agenda down. I don't see how anything on the finance agenda. But what I do say that it takes 6 votes to go into closed session. Unless y'all gonna change it now. For 50 years it took 6 votes, but some of this crowd, they like to make rules up as you go. So it takes 6 votes. And also I encourage you to vote no on consent order. That's 115 and 144. Vote no. And finally, I want to say, it may not be finally, but I've got a call from a few black contractors. And about 240187. And their businesses have been registered with the city of Flint. And when this contract for KMI road maintenance to do the sidewalks around the city of Flint, you don't need a bond or any of that. They were never those easy. They weren't even contacted. And I told them to call Ed Taylor, call whoever over Black, Arnold Brown, and ask them no questions. And those are questions that you all should ask. And lastly, but not least, you know, to give the money to council wards, don't do that. You know what that is? That ain't nothing but those who want to be elected or under recall want to show the residents what they're doing. It's fake. And I know fake. I'm a senior, but I'm not senile. And my last thing, that Mark Quimbley of Ashley Capital, he will be the guest on my show live, WFLT 1420 at 9:30, and also follow me on Facebook. And we're going to see what he has to say. Again, I support Save the Historic Oak Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Ron Wah, or Waj, I can't, it looks like W-A-U-G-H, maybe? Ron is the first name?
I believe he left, Madam Clerk.
Okay. The next speaker is Jan Marie Arbor.
Good evening, Council. Jan Marie Arbor, 7th Ward Council candidate. First of all, I would like to welcome Mr. Pfeiffer back. Really missed your presence. It's good to see you back. Next, I would like to congratulate the 9th Ward Councilman who's been elected to that seat, Mr. Jonathan Jarrett. It's marvelous to see you in that seat, knowing about your character, your honesty, your integrity, your intelligence. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're going to contribute great things to this council and to this city. And we are fortunate to have a man such as yourself represent your ward and the city of Flint. Thank you for taking up the challenge to represent that ward. It's been in long need of good representation. Thank you. At this time, I would like to speak with regard to Special Order 240193. In agreement with Mr. A.C. Dumas, I would ask that this council body not consider expending any of the $30,000 that each of you will have prior to the elections. I do not believe that it's fair nor a good look for persons who are running for office or who may be recalled and may be challenged by another person to spend that money before the end of the year. It appears as though the money would be used for campaigning, and that's not a good look. That would be used against you during election time. So I ask that you please reconsider that and wait until after the elections so that whomever is elected or remains in their seat has ample opportunity between either August and December or November and December to expend that money. Thank you. And the last item has to do with resolution number 240191 as it relates to disorderly conduct, etc. Point A.5 or parentheses 5. As it regards the conduct of the public body at an open meeting attended by the general public. Any conduct or communication that inflicts injury. How is one to interpret that? Who defines what infliction is? If one is just generally sensitive, then their feelings are just going to be hurt. But anybody could claim that without actually being injured. So it's totally subjective, it's not objective. Likewise, point 7, repeated nonverbal conduct. What does that include? Does that include holding up signs or wearing t-shirts? Please be specific. I object to both of those points. Thank you.
Next public speaker, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Luana Terry.
My name is Luana Terry. The two people I really want to speak to is not here, but I know they probably watching or somebody gonna go back and relate to them. So for a council person told me I need to train my child, I just want her to know my child is very well trained. She was correcting the person that was up here speaking that said 2, 3, 4, and 7 needs to be recalled or something, and all she said was add Ward 1. So first of all, there's no lie there. She's very well trained to pull out the foolishness. And to the second Ward council person that's not here, that always want to talk about argument, being argumentative, she was argumentative with me. So am I allowed to call the police to take her out? Because all I said was, that's a minor, talk to me. Then I said, she's only 12, talk to me. And she kept on. So next time I will have the police to escort her out. And if they don't, it will be an issue with them because we are all one. And Quincy, last meeting, you were talking to Art about how to respect women. And as a man, I thought you at least would have stood up and told her, that is a child. Speak to her mother, and you didn't. So I don't understand when you was talking to Art about men, what men should do. You got it all wrong too, buddy.
Next public speaker, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Allison Montgomery Littlejohn.
Good evening. My name is Allison Montgomery Littlejohn. I first wanted to make a correction from the last city council meeting that I attended. I mistakenly said in regards to the water liens that one of my clients owes over $45,000. That's incorrect. It's over $4,500. So I just wanted to make sure I made that correction. So I am here regarding the high water rates in the city of Flint. And I came across an old ABC 12 News article that was originally written in 2021. There was a total of 133 businesses that owed almost $500,000 in unpaid water bills to the city of Flint. Some of these businesses included condemned apartment complexes that have not paid their water bills since 2019. In this same article, it was reported that Mayor Neely stated that Flint residents' water bills will go up to help cover the difference because those businesses have been delinquent. I would like to know if this stipulation is still true today in 2024. To the City Council and Flint administration, what is the current status of delinquent water bills that businesses are responsible for? For these business owners, what is their penalty? Will they face tax liens against their businesses as the residents have had to face tax liens against their homes? Jeff Wright, the Genesee County Drain Commissioner and CEO of the Corregnandi Water Authority, the KWA, said in a Detroit News article dated 2016 that the construction of the KWA pipeline would bring fair water rates to the city of Flint residents, and this has yet to happen. What is the City Council doing as a collective to make sure that City of Flint is receiving fair water rates? Thank you.
Thank you. Next public speaker, please, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Miss E. Taylor.
I see that the Journal is here tonight. That's interesting. So I'm going to introduce a film that's on Netflix right now that talks about police. It's called Power. And one of the things they say in there is that the police can legitimize violence. And I think we legitimize violence at City Hall council meetings by the council. And I think we ought to look at that film and see if we can make some serious changes. The other thing on the ordinance, if you don't like me at the council, you can just talk over my voice or talk over me as you relate to conduct and communication, because this council has multiple members that want to fight with their fists, and the police refuses to remove them. As I ask multiple times, do the police belong to the community, or does the police belong to City Council? Very important question I think we ought to ask. The lead service lines that you, Neely, signed on here has lots of information. So why can't we put that much information to the community versus, as we asked through Ms. McClinton, one of our sheroes, $16 million for ARPA money to help the community. But no, we want to tell residents that it's your violation and you're wrong and what we can do to you and how we can hurt you, but we aren't talking about how we can help the community. That's the thing I think council really is elected for. And where exactly are we going to do about this water in the city of Flint that's 10 years old that we still can't drink and we still pay for, and an exorbitant amount of money? So I think you need to have a public hearing also about any ordinances that you change, that you want to change, that you change every damn week we come up here. I think we ought to have public hearings. What do we think about if you don't like me? And how you report out to your ward in certain neighborhoods, 7th is what I'm speaking of, is different. My park is the park that the McFadden's talk about. 7th Ward Council only wants to talk about Pierce Park. What is that but separating the community? We've got to realize that all parks belong to all of us. A council person doesn't own a park, a neighborhood doesn't own a park, the community owns the park. Listen to what we want. We're the important ones, not you, not your future career. What are you mouthing to me? Say it out loud on your mic. I couldn't hear that. Ms. Machette, what did you say? Be woman enough to tell me. Don't be afraid.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there anyone else who wishes to address council at this time? Next public speaker, please.
The next speaker is Claire McClinton.
I'm going to rush these 3 minutes. It's such a short time and so many things going on. We want to save the historic Oak Park. We standing on that. We will not back down from that. We will not back down from that. We also, usually I come up here and demand the $16 million in ARPA funds for additional rehab and rehabilitation. We're not gonna back down from that either. And we're hearing some signs there may be some movement in that area. And I wanna say that we as community is here to help do whatever we can do to help expedite that. Because again, the monies must be allocated by December 31st. Even though you put all of them in general funds, it's still designated for ARPA. And we don't want to pass up this historic opportunity. And I'm anxious to put that motion on the floor so we can see how y'all vote. Just put the motion on the floor. And then once you put the motion on the floor, you don't have to send it to Habitat. You don't have to send it to GCCAA. You can do that. The city can be the fiduciary to get these roofs and things fixed. The city, we can do that. Even if you hire a crew temporarily to help dispose of these applications. Why are you gonna send them here and there and everything, and they get 10% off the top? That don't make no sense. We did pipes, we can do roofs. All right, and then last but not least, it was on the agenda Monday, you got a communication from the Genesee, received April 30th, 2024, listing of 2024 property tax foreclosures in Genesee County, a memo regarding the local unit's right to purchase property prior to auction as mailed to local unit clerks. And we had asked the attorney to look into the 190 properties. Was that communication sent to our city? We have not got an answer. But then you rushing money over there to legal services to help represent these people that's being evicted by this out-of-state company. And all the legal services can do is make sure their rights is not violated. They can't stop them from being foreclosed. So we want an answer about those 190 properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Next public speaker, please, Madam Clerk.
Ms. McClinton was the last speaker.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to respond at this time during council response?
Madam
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman in the 6th Ward, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. This is your council chambers. In regards to, I support historical Oak Park, even in the rain. We cannot remove or move a historical site to new ground. The ground is what makes it historical, period. I want to speak to 240191. I will not be supporting that. One, I have seen too many times that the police have been weaponized against the residents. Too much of this ordinance is ambiguous and is left up to the interpretation of the chair, and I have a problem with that. The $16 million, Ms. McClinton, I did ask to have a resolution sent forward, let them vote it up, vote it down for the home repairs for ARPA. Put it on the floor. I put $5 million before, they voted it down. Let the residents see where they stand. The $2 million in the trash fees, I do not support that in ARPA, not at all. It's a no-bid contract by our city charter. It states we are supposed to send that out to bid. We should have had it bidded out. We should not be balancing it with ARPA funds, which means we can't afford to pay for it. And then we have to figure out this only balances it for 2 years. Then we have to figure out how to pay it for the next 5 years. We don't know. We don't know. So it's enough of the smoke and mirrors. Residents definitely deserve better. That contract was $9 million over the bid price. Mayor Neely told Mike Brown to take the other contract and shred it. It's on record. It's on the record. So I am not supporting this trash, the $2 million. It should have been put out the bid per the Flint City Charter. That's the proper way to do it. Madam Chair, I do need to speak with you. I think we're going to end up having a quorum because I will be leaving this meeting.
I'm chairing.
Oh, well, through you to the city clerk, Davina, I will be leaving shortly.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Burns. Is there anyone else who would like to respond to the public at this time? You can have the floor if you want. Have at it.
Yeah, yes.
I'm gonna go here first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. So I would like to thank all of the public for speaking, and I also want to like to congratulate Jonathan Jarrett. This is our first meeting with you being elected councilman for the 9th Ward. I look forward to working with you, and I also want to give a congratulations to Good Church. On the 18th, they did a pre-grand opening of their laundromat on Holbrook Street. I was there for that. It was nice to see a laundromat in a impoverished neighborhood, and it looked really nice. So I was glad to be there on the 18th. And then on the 19th, they also had where they had probably about 100 volunteers, and they went out and did projects around Holbrook, Austin, and Alma Street. They did a lot of different projects. So I just want to congratulate them, and this is their 3rd year doing this, and for them to keep up the good work. On the ARPA ward priorities, we're not getting into what democracy looked like when it comes down to whether people getting recalled or not. We allocated funding for ward priorities. We done had town hall meetings in the 3rd Ward. We know what we want. We want to move forward on that. I know in Dewey Park, they need new basketball courts and asphalt because the basketball court is breaking up, and in Rollingwood Park, they need a full court. So we got some priorities, and I'm not gonna get into the politics of what people think. We need to, as a council, come and I guess present what our ward priorities
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public response? Councilman in the 9th Ward, you have the floor.
Thank you. First want to say thank you to all those that came out this evening or are here, those that are listening and viewing online and will take part in some way, directly or indirectly, of this meeting. Want to say to Ms. Littlejohn, thank you for being the type of person that would come back to correct a misstatement. That shows a great deal of integrity and honor, something that I look to. When you spoke, ma'am, of the example, be the example. I see you, Ms. Littlejohn, as an example and someone that I will do the best that I know to take a mindful approach to show that same type of integrity. Also to those water rates, that's something that I am looking forward to, just really trying to get my arms around how and why. When I look at my bill every month, and it's just my wife and I in the house, and $60 of it is just service charge, I really want to get my arms around what that means and what that is to cover, because it is a point. I've had calls on that type of issue even, before tonight, which again is my first actual meeting. That said, I guess I will end by saying I look forward to this evening, what it will hold, what we will be able to do in support of you, our constituents. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during council response?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Pfeiffer, you have the floor.
Like my colleague said, thanks for everyone that came out tonight. In regards to Ms. Taylor mentioning trying to normalize violence, if council members fought for the public as much as they fought each other, we would be in a hell of a different place. Mr. Dumas, I too will not be supporting the $2 million ARPA fund. I didn't support the new trash contract, and I certainly won't support this bailout, because that's what it is. There was other vendors that were cheaper, and not only did we select the most expensive vendor, we doubled down on it and gave them a 10-year contract for even more money. So I will not be supporting that as either. I was going to leave after public comments, but I think I'm going to stay to make sure that I get some separation on the consent agenda. Very proud parent tonight. My son will be graduating with honors tonight, so I will be attending. I will be leaving as soon as we vote on the consent agenda to attend that. So once again, thanks for coming out, and I wanted to make sure I got here and heard from the residents before I had to leave, so that's why I'm here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pfeiffer. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public speaking? Councilman in the first ward, you have the floor.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to say thank you to the audience as well. Everyone who spoke today, really appreciate you coming out, taking time to speak in regards to the issues and concerns that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during public speaking at this time?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman in the second ward, you have the floor.
Appreciate it. So to the resident in the red hat, just to let you know, we are working on some resources to assist you. So just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe that everyone has had their opportunity to speak during council response. We will now move on to the consent agenda. I will accept a motion on the consent agenda.
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman in the sixth ward.
I just want to state I will be leaving the meeting. I too have a child who is honors, and they're graduating from high school, and I have to be there. So I may be back. I've talked to the city clerk. She's going to keep me updated. So if they're done, I'm coming back.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Pfeiffer.
Motion for the consent agenda, to send the consent agenda to council.
There's a motion on the floor to send the consent agenda to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Are there any separations?
we're-
All right, roll call, Madam Clerk.
No, I'm sorry. I want to separate things.
Separations.
Oh, I'd like to separate things. 240115, 240144, 240169, I want to separate 240185 because I'm sure that that was part of the closed session. And 240207.
All right, is there any other separations?
Madam Chair,
Councilman in the Ninth Ward?
I'd like to separate 240189.
189. All right, is that your only separation?
And 240187. And yeah, that's
Is there anyone else who would like to do any separations at this time? All right, seeing as how there are no more separations, the consent agenda will consist of Resolution 240183, which is the acceptance of interest funds, Flint Township Multi-Jurisdictional Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, also known as JAG, Department of Justice. 240184, which is the same exact grant, and 240186, which is the Flint, New Holland Kubota Tractor, Plow, Mower, Light Department, John Deere Lawn Mower, Fire Department, Liberty Dump Trailer Water Service Center, and then also 240188, which is the Onyx Networking Google Workspace Enterprise Software. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Priestley is absent. Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett?
yes.
Mr. L. Alleman?
Yes.
The vote is 6 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 6 yes, 0 no. The consent agenda has been accepted. Moving on to Resolution 240115, which is the consent to entry of stipulation and notice concerning pastors for social action et al. Versus City of Flint et al. The person who originally separated this has left, so is there a motion on the floor concerning this?
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman in the Second Ward.
thank you. I'd like to put a motion on the floor to send to Special Affairs.
There's a motion on the floor to send Resolution 240115 to Special Affairs. Is there support?
I'll support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilman in the First Ward. Is there discussion? Any discussion in the first round? All right, seeing as how there's no discussion from my colleagues in the first round, I would like to simply ask, why are we moving this to Special Affairs? I mean, I can't say request for information because I guess request for information since I'm the chair. Why are we moving this to Special Affairs?
So we can look more into it and, yeah, so we can, look more into it and vote on the money. I mean, either way, it's fine.
I mean, is there someone who can legally speak to it right now? Stop yelling out. Is there someone who can legally speak to, because this is an ongoing issue, is there someone who can speak to this? I believe we have to refer to the city attorney, because we are only in the first round of discussion. When we move to the second round of discussion, I'm hoping whatever questions that they have, they do ask.
The only comment I can give you, councilperson, is that this matter was discussed in an executive session back on March 20th. I was not present for that session, but I believe, and I'm hopeful that the councilpersons here were. This is an ongoing litigation. involving the city, and that is all I'm at liberty to say.
I think that's all anyone is at liberty to say. So there's nothing else in the first round. Second round, is there anyone who wishes
Yes.
to speak to this?
I
Councilman
would like
Murphy,
to,
you have the floor.
Make an amended motion to keep this in finance.
There's an amended motion on the floor to keep Resolution 240115 in finance. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilwoman in the second ward. I don't think we do discussion anymore.
Discussion?
Go ahead.
Yes. The reason why I want to keep this in
Madam Chair?
finance.
Yes.
I'm
This
sorry.
allow.
Yes.
I'm sorry, per the new rules.
I know we don't discuss anymore after another motion, so yeah, it's fine. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Oh,
Can't
okay.
discuss.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Priestley is absent. Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer is not in. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240115, consent to entry of stipulation and notice concern pastors for social action et al. Versus City of Flint et al. Stays in finance. Moving on to Resolution 240144, which is the administrative consent order, City of Flint, State of Michigan, Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, also known as EGLE, Drinking Water Environmental Health Division. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy.
I would like to make a motion to keep 240144 in finance.
There's a motion on the floor to keep 240144 in finance. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilman in the first ward. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Councilman
The
Murphy.
reason why I think we need to keep this in finance is to give Councilman Garrett time to educate himself and learn more and familiarize himself with what's going on with this. And I think bringing it back to the next finance will probably give him enough time to be able to do his research.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor during discussion at this time? In the first round? Anybody else in the first round? Seeing as how there's none, is there anyone in the second round? Is there anyone in the second round? Seeing as how there is no discussion for the second round, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, Ms. Priestley is absent. Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer is not in. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240144, which is the administrative consent order, City of Flint, State of Michigan, Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, also known as EGLE, Drinking Water Environmental Health Division, stays in finance. Moving to Resolution 240169, which is the reallocation of ARPA funds, payment for uncollected trash fees. Is there a motion? Councilman Murphy.
Yes, I would like to leave resolution 240169, reallocation of ARPA funds, payments of uncollected trash fees and finance.
There's a motion to leave Resolution 240169 in finance. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilperson in the first ward. In
Yes.
discussion, Councilman
Yes.
Murphy.
This trash fees is very complicated issue that I think we need to have a little bit more discussion with why the 2 million versus us not doing anything and possibly having to increase special assessment on trash, because our collectibles, far as what we collecting, far as taxes, is not enough to cover the shortfall in the trash. So that's why the 2 million was allocated of ARPA funds to cover for the next 2 years. And I think it's important, again, for our colleague in the 9th Ward and also our colleague Leon, and I'm not sure how familiar he is, but I think it's important that we have another discussion about this trash before we vote on it.
Alrighty. Is there anyone else who would like to have discussion at this time?
Council Chair.
Councilman in the Ninth Ward, you have the floor.
I think to keep it in finance when we are in finance and we can maybe have some of that discussion now would be helpful to me. So if there is some additional conversation that we can have, if we can go ahead and have that now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I yield.
Anybody else in the first round?
You should have called.
Anybody else in the first round? All right. Seeing as how there's no one else in the first round, would anyone like the floor in the second round of discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
To the finance director, could you come?
Mr. Moore, would you please join us at the lectern? Can we?
Yes, Mr. Moore, could you explain as much as possible why the $2 million of ARPA dollars is being requested to pay for the uncollectible trash?
The millage or the special assessment that we have for the trash right now is not supporting the funds sufficiently. If we, so the choice is really if we either transfer the funds from ARPA or we have to raise the fees for the special assessment.
Through you to Mr. Moore, do you know what the projected shortfall is in collectibles and the trash rate?
The $2 million is, should take care of this year and next year, so we're talking roughly $1 million each year.
And is this due to people not paying property taxes, or is it due to we just don't have enough in that, in what we collecting in taxes when it comes down to the special assessment for trash? So if we do the 2 million, will we turn around and have to figure something else out after we do the 2 million because we still not collecting? Because if it's only gonna pay for 2 years and then we gonna be back in this predicament afterwards.
That's correct. In 2 years, we'll have to revisit the issue. We'll have to decide what we want to do in 2 years.
If we don't do anything, so say we don't use the 2 million, what happens then?
If we don't use the 2 million, then we'll have to raise the special assessment.
All right, thank you very much. That's my time.
Please stay. I believe my colleague in the Ninth Ward may have some questions.
Through you, Chair, to the CFO. So if we're 1 million this year, 1 million next year, why are we asking for 2?
Why we're doing it for 2 years?
Why are we going for 2 million if it's $1 million shortfall and then another $1 million in another year?
Right. So we need $1 million for the current fiscal year.
Right.
Then we'll need $1 million for next fiscal year.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to have to raise the rates when we approve the budget.
So why are we doing 2 million now instead of just 1 million, and then we take this time to, you all, the administration take the next 9 months to come up with a solution, because it's either come up with the solution in 9 months or come up with the solution in 21 months?
I guess that would be a political decision by the city council. Our recommendation is to take care of it once and for all with the $2 million transfer. But if you wanted to do it $1 million this year and and then address the issue again later next year, that could also be possible.
So what does the analysis look like? And what does the analysis look like per household for this $1 million?
It's approximately $40 a year per household.
$40 a year?
Yes, sir.
Per household?
Correct.
Versus taking $2 million from ARPA that we can potentially do something.
That's correct.
$40 per household?
Correct.
Okay.
For this fiscal year, you don't have many options. We can't send out special assessment notices for the current fiscal year, so.
Okay. But if we were to amend the request to $1 million, then there's time
That's
to
correct.
collect $40, where we would have $1 million yet in ARPA funds to do something different with.
That's correct. You
Huh.
got it.
That sounds like an option. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor for discussion at this time?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Councilman.
Mr. Moore, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You said there isn't a plan currently, or are they working on a plan to sustain it after the 2 years if we were to go in that direction?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing.
I just want to make sure I heard you clearly. After the 2 years, just say if we went in the direction of supporting this, is there a plan in place, or is there talks?
There's no plan in place for what happens after the end of next fiscal year. Well, at that point, we'll have to revisit the issue and decide what we want to do.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Moore, in response to, and I understand we're trying to just kind of figure out different ways that we can help avoid raising taxes for residents. And so what happens now is if we only give $1 million and we give you all, the administration, 9 months to come up with another plan and you do not, that means taxes will go up for residents, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Ooh, that's gonna be a hard one.
All right, and Madam Chair.
Yeah, I didn't know you wanted the floor, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I know you're the last one to speak.
I am the last
Do
one
we
to
have a second
speak.
round, or is it done?
This is the second round.
Oh, never mind. Trust.
All right, roll call, Madam Clerk. And this is for leaving Resolution 240169, reallocation of ARPA funds, payment of uncollection trash fees in finance.
Okay, Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mushat?
Yes.
Mr. Pfeiffer is not in. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Earl Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240169, reallocation of ARPA funds, payment of uncollected trash fees stays in finance. Moving to Resolution 240185, settlement of Lucio versus City of Flint, ED Michigan case number 24-10256. Is there a resolution?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy.
I would like to move this to council.
There is a motion to move this resolution to council. Is there any support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilwoman in the second ward. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
This is a settlement that we talked about in executive session. This is for $12,500, and I think we need to go on and dispose of this.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to have discussion at this time? Anybody else in the first round? Anybody else? Seeing as how there's no one else in the first round, we will move to the second round. Is there anyone in the second round?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy.
Thank you. I think what some of these cases, and if we have 6 votes and can go into executive session, what is happening is things that's over $5,000 that we have to go in executive session for, such as this one, for $12,500. We go into executive session, we talk about it, then we bring it back to the floor to move it to council to vote on it. And this is just one of those cases where we done already went into executive session and discussed this matter. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else who would like the floor in the second round? Anybody else? Seeing as how no one else would like the floor in the second round, roll call, Madam Clerk. And this is to send 240185, settlement for Lucio versus City of Flint, ED Michigan case number 24-10256 to council.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes. Why does it keep being
Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Earl Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Burns is absent. Vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240185, the settlement for Lucio versus City of Flint, ED Michigan case number 24-10256 has been moved to council. Now we move on to resolution 240187, which is the contract KMI road maintenance replacement of City Hall sidewalks. Is there a resolution? Oh, excuse me, is there a motion?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy.
I would like to move this resolution to special affairs.
There's a motion on the floor to move this resolution to special affairs. Is there support? Is there support? That motion fails due to lack of support. Is there another motion for resolution 240187?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman in the second ward.
Thank you. I'd like to move that resolution to council.
There is a motion on the floor to move 240187 to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilman in the third ward. Is there discussion?
Yes.
Councilman in the third ward, you have the floor.
So, is there someone that could be at council meeting, through you to, someone in the back? Is there anyone that could speak on this 120,000,
Mr. Moore, would you please join us at the lectern?
sidewalks for around City Hall? What this look like and why, where we trying to replace sidewalks at?
The sidewalks in question are the ones behind City Hall. And the reason is because they're very broken up and constitute tripping hazards, and we need to fix it so we lessen our liability.
You said something about, I couldn't hardly hear you. You said something about federal what?
No, there's no federal, well, it's a tripping hazard, and the sidewalks are broken up and heaving. We want to make it safe for pedestrians to use, and it's just time that they're replaced. They've been there for a long time.
So what sidewalks will be getting replaced?
That'd be the ones behind City Hall, including the area that goes down into the, I don't know what to call that, hollowed out area. That would also be replaced. There's a lot of sidewalk in there that needs to be replaced.
Okay, thank you.
To the tune of 100.
I'm done.
Thank you. Councilman in the ninth ward, you have the floor.
So, I see that we have the 3 bids. So did this actually go out as a RFP or get posted, or?
Yes, sir. We have we post it that it's available. There are a couple sites that we use for that. A lot of contractors around the state use that system, and we got some competitive bids, and we picked the lowest bid.
Okay, is there a reason why we didn't take, because this MDT construction looks like it was a little bit lower. I mean, 50 cents per square foot is 50 cents. So when we're talking $120,000, I'm assuming there's a lot of square feet.
I don't know the details of that. I'm afraid I can't answer that question. I'm sorry.
Okay. So one of the questions I have very similar to the councilman in the third ward there is, I know with our sidewalk repair program currently, for those that are going to be repaired under, say, the 50/50 program,
right?
There's a grading scale that they use to actually assess which ones they will contribute to. Is that same grading scale used in this application?
I don't know. I do know that they reviewed it, and it was because of the poor condition, which is the reason why it's being recommended to be replaced.
Well, and let me tell you why I asked that specifically, is because in doing the sidewalk repair under the 50/50 program, again, they give each square a grade.
That's correct.
So you actually can look like tic-tac-toe as to what they'll do,
right,
versus clearing the entire driveway. Are we going to take the same care with our budget and making sure that we're spending on this sidewalk, or are we clearing from A to Z and all that are good in between?
I don't know the details of that. Sorry.
Is it fair to ask that question?
No, that's a very good question.
Okay.
But,
So is that a question I can trust that maybe you'll be able to or someone will be here to answer Monday?
Monday, somebody
Or
should be able to
Tuesday,
answer,
rather.
or Tuesday, somebody should be able to answer that question.
Okay, because I would think that when we're talking about tripping hazards,
Right.
I can send pictures of sidewalks where the tree has uprooted the sidewalk such that you can see under
Right.
the bottom side of the concrete, and that needs to be addressed as a tripping hazard as well.
Yeah, yes, I would agree.
Okay, so come Monday, we'll be able to get someone to speak
Tuesday.
to that.
Yes.
Tuesday. Or Tuesday, thank you. Tuesday, we'll be able to get someone to speak to that. Okay. And they'll be able also to give some feasible explanation as to why we did choose a higher bid?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Councilman in
Mr.
the
Moore,
first
while we
ward.
have you here, just a similar question. I know that we have a lot of issues, especially in the first ward, where residents, sidewalks are uprooted, coming out the ground and so forth. Do we have an update when they'll get started on addressing those issues? Because there's been a lot of complaints in regards to sidewalk repair.
When we're going to start in the first ward?
Yes, any ward. Do you have an update on when they may get started on replacing sidewalks?
No, I do not, but we can get that by Tuesday.
Are you done, Mr. Alamy? Okay. So, Mr. Moore, we do understand that you are the finance guy and that these details are for like street maintenance and people who do this actual work. So we do expect to see someone who does the work and who can give timelines and has the actual plan laid out on Tuesday. So please let them know that this is their invitation to join us. We do thank you for your answers for all of our financial needs, though.
Thank you.
We understand the operations part, not necessarily yours. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the first round? Well, I'm the last person. So is there anyone in the second round? Anyone in the second round? Seeing as how there is no one in the second round, Madam Clerk, this is the roll call to send 240187 contract KMI road maintenance replacement of City Hall sidewalks to council.
Okay, Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Burns is absent. Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240187, contract KMI road maintenance, replacement of City Hall sidewalks has been sent to council. Moving on to Resolution 240189, which is the reallocation of ARPA funds, small business grants, local initiative support corporation, also known as LISC. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman in the second ward.
I move to send this resolution to council.
There is a motion on the floor to send this resolution to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. I'll take the councilman in the first ward. Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman in the ninth ward, you have the floor.
If whoever from the administration could.
One
could speak
second.
to
Yep,
this.
I got you. Is there someone who can speak to this resolution?
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
Emily Dora.
Thank you. Emily, will you please join us at the lectern?
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
So, this resolution, this subcontract with LISC, did this go out for any kind of RFP or that?
Yeah, so in October of 2022, this body approved a budget for ARPA, and that included a $500,000 pot of funds that was supposed to be for small business grants. So that was in the budget that this body approved. Between that point, and I think actually even before that point, we had an economic development director named Kalfani Stevens, and he had been trying to figure out who would be good partners. And I believe that during that time, he had actually talked to a number of different CDFIs, community development financial institutions that were in the city. We have LISC, Metro Community Development are the main two. A few of our banks, our mainstream banks, have CDFI arms that are more community development focused, and they were also part of the discussion. During that time, I think that there was, because of the ability for leveraged other funds, the decision was made that LISC would be the best partner.
Okay.
So then I will just say that moving forward, that's where we came up with it. So it was, a lot of that work was done before I came here.
Okay, I'll sort of stop you there in the interest of time.
Yep.
Because you said a key word to both myself and I believe the councilman in the fourth word used the word leverage.
Yep.
So what leverages or benefit in addition to this 500,000 is LISC bringing?
So LISC has access to, there's over, so LISC is a national organization. The organization is headquartered in New York, but they have about 50 different branches around the country.
Yes.
Flint has its own office, and because of that, they have, I would say, easily $25 million of additional small business loans that they can do at we're talking 0%, 1% interest rates. So the grant program that we would want to run, the businesses could turn around and then, because they've already submitted all their information, they could turn around and get a loan.
So have they earmarked a dollar amount that they are committing to this program?
No.
Okay,
because
that's what I'm
all of
asking.
the Flint LISC dollars are earmarked for Flint companies.
Okay,
Yeah.
but to this program specifically, return on this 500,000, is there, what commitment have they given to leverage for that specifically?
Well, so Section 4 dollars is the other piece I wanted to mention that they have, and they get around $250,000 of Section 4 money that is additional grants for small-scale developers here in Flint, and that is all earmarked for small-scale development companies, whether if you're a nonprofit, mostly nonprofit, but also for-profit LLCs, some of whom I think will be coming to use this program as well. So
Okay.
I guess we don't have a specific amount. We have a commitment to continue what they've already been doing and to have more of it moving forward.
I'm gonna at times not necessarily mean to be disrespectful in cutting you short, but in the interest of time and that. But so a couple of things I'm gonna want you to think about for the next round. One is help me to understand a little bit better the scope of work, what LISC will actually do. And then give me a little bit more detail about this 500,000. How much is allowable for administration? How much is gonna go for the trainers or whoever facilitates the instruction? And then how much between the 40 to 50 grantees, how much is designated of this 500,000 we will give in grants to these businesses? The other thing I wanna know is, this ecosystem for businesses, is this developing new businesses or working with existing? And I'm really gonna wanna hear how, because I've worked alongside Tyler and I know of his great work. Why do we have to subcontract this versus using our staff and cut out the middleman?
I would love to answer if anybody else, please, someone else, give me some time. I would love to answer.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor this time?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
I was taking notes while you were speaking.
I'm happy to answer his questions, yes.
Emily, could you answer the question of why not in-house where our staff
Absolutely.
versus?
So first of all, no more than 10% will be used for admin. So 450,000 at least will be put out in grants. If not more, we are going to have them actually bill their time that they spend. So 450,000, if not more. We're hoping less than 10% will be used for admin. Number two, that's where the 40 to 50 companies come from. On average, we're expecting grants of between $10,000 to $12,000. Number 3, these are existing companies. We want this program to focus on existing companies who were in existence prior to COVID. We want this program to actually be one of the COVID response programs that is part of this ARPA allocation that the city received. That was the intent of the funds, and so we are focusing on existing companies who were in operation prior to March 20th, or March 17th, 2020. Next, we want to sub this out because, again, we want the entities that are receiving the grants to get into a system where then they could access 0 to 1% to 2% interest loans that would get them more dollars to be able to expand their companies here, which is something we want to do. We are always working with new companies, but new companies are not eligible for this specific grant program. And then finally, another reason to not do it in-house, and we say this is part of the program guidelines will be around underwriting, and the underwriting is going to be things like what did your 2019 dollars look like, or revenues and profits, or and costs, what did your 2020, what did your 2021, and taking the staff time to be able to actually underwrite what was their business trajectory, therefore being able to say that they were affected by COVID and pass muster for why they are getting a grant. We want that to be done in a more of a professional underwriting way, and none of my staff are trained underwriters. So hopefully I answered all those questions quickly.
Also, how many businesses will be affected by this funding if we award you guys this funding list?
Yeah, so I think we said 50 or 40 to 50 because
40 or 50 companies?
Between 40 to 50, because the average grant size we're looking at is it would be around $10,000.
And they will be able to receive up to how much money?
The average grant would be about $10,000.
About $10,000?
Yep.
Okay.
And they would again have to have been in business and operations prior to the start of COVID, March 17th, 2020. And so, again, this was part of the council approved budget from October of 2022, so we're just trying to follow that through. But I'll stop to let more questions.
Okay, and then his last question, well, not last, because he had a whole bunch. Ecosystem, could you elaborate on that?
There is an entrepreneurial ecosystem, which is a formalized group of entities that help small businesses. So if you are listening in the audience and you have a business idea, we want you to go start with 100K ideas. They were at the Ferris wheel, they're now in the Dryden. So go there and start with your business. You can also go to U of M Flint and their economic development office, and they will help you with a business plan. You can go to the startup assistance at Kettering University. So there's different entities to help with startups and kind of crystallizing your business concept. Then there are mid-range help that we are a part of, so zoning and finding the right building and helping with that. There's also help that we can have for some of our existing businesses. So there's this whole ecosystem of entities that mostly nonprofit, but some for-profit companies. Best Practices Consulting, Laura Sigmund, that's one of them. She helps really hone the business marketing and kind of, she consults on who is your customer and how are you making money, and that's oftentimes not something a startup can answer, but you have to have been in business.
Okay.
So anyway,
I got
it's a group.
25 seconds left.
Yep.
But we've been on this resolution for months. It's been a while. It's been on the agenda.
No, this is a new resolution, sir.
This
has not been on a resolution, an agenda
This a new
before.
resolution?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor in the first round? No? All right. Seeing as there's no one else who would like the floor in the first round, I'll go ahead and take my time. So if we are hearing you correctly, this is follow through from something that was done in 2022. It was supposed to have, so we're just now starting something that was approved back in 2022, correct?
Technically, all ARPA things are part of a
Yep.
budget that was approved in 2022.
Okay.
But the
I just want to make
legwork-
sure.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yep.
And then you said that there is a local office. Where is that office located?
They are in the building on Court Street where the Girl Scouts are and the Ruth Mott Foundation, next to the Marsh, the art gallery. So they're on Court Street, just east of Saginaw.
Correct. And if I heard you correctly about why we are subcontracting as opposed to using our staff, the biggest thing that I heard was because we do not have any underwriters who are able to do this work. Okay. And so once we do this, as we move forward and we look forward to years from now, we are going to get qualified staff. I mean, in the sense of, because I don't want to be insulting to our staff because we have very qualified staff.
Thank you.
As in, we're going to get people who can do underwriting, or at least let them go through some sort of underwriting training. Is that eventually going to be a goal, or is it always just a contract out?
I don't know that in the future that we will be in the position financially to give grants
Understood.
through the city. This is a one-time opportunity.
Got it.
So I'm not sure in the future we would use staff resources in that way.
No problem. And then the second reason why you said that it was being subbed out is for the percentage. Explain why it has to, and I know you said it, but you said it really quickly. So when he asked why does it have to be subbed out, you talked about the percentage that they would get from it being subbed out.
Oh, just that, so less than 10%. So 10% is the max. So they will spend less than 10% of, so less than $50,000 to do this. So they will have to hire someone that does this, I'm imagining, with part of their time. So, but I'm hoping we're actually going to make sure that they track their hours and have it be on an hourly basis and have it be no more than a certain amount is spent. So yeah.
So when I'm saying percentage, I was talking about when you were talking about the percentage that the businesses would get. The interest rates, when you were talking about, yeah.
So the businesses, if you go to list to get a business loan right now, because of the dollars that they hold, that they get, that LISC offices around the country have, they have small business loans at 0 and 1% that you can get through LISC, and that you can't get if you go to a bank. Banks
Got
are
it.
charging way more, yeah.
No problem. So it's just more of an advantage for those who are trying to be successful entrepreneurs, I should say, and not have to come out of a lot of money or not owe a lot of money and trying to build their work. Sounds good. Anybody in the second round?
Yes.
Councilman in the 9th Ward, you have the floor.
So thank you for fielding those questions and even answering them and not just addressing them. So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So LISC is only taking or using for their for them executing this program $50,000. So there are no other program fees that they're going to bill for.
At most, we're hopeful to have even less. We're going to do a max, but we're going to bill them on an hourly basis.
So they'll bill us up to $50,000.
Yes.
And all other $450,000 will be available to these small businesses as grants.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes difference for me. And I say that because, and I'm glad you are here because the page and a half of the summary didn't otherwise do it for me. But understanding better now how it's going to be used and some of the value that LISC is going to bring, I was wondering, why not just reach out? And you mentioned U of M and their program, you mentioned Metro. Why not just have some of those other entities that aren't listed here that I would have otherwise been hopeful that we were, again, bringing in those partners, because one thing you're going to find from me is I'm going to want to hear about the holistic approach to problem solving and trying to identify that we use as many partners as possible so not to burden anyone. And you also get, as you know, the leveraging of funds and resources. So my last question otherwise is, in your role, when you look at this, how do you view the return on our $500,000 investment? Is that going to yield revenue for the city as you see it, or is it going to, and I'm going to use the word only, and I don't mean it in a derogatory way, but is it only gonna produce goodwill and hopefully not a political opportunity for someone?
No, I appreciate that. I think the best way to make sure that this genuinely helps our community, which we require our brick and mortar companies to stay, our commercial corridors and our neighborhood centers are only able to thrive by having businesses that have brick and mortar locations. And so what I would like to see as an additional overlay is that the companies who benefit from this program, you have to have a brick and mortar location in the city because we don't need more empty storefronts.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the second round? Councilman in the first ward.
Yes, Emily. I had two quick questions. Is the emerging developing program going to be a part of this?
So it is a part of it in that it's part of our economic development strategy of using ARPA funds, which is one-time funds, to help propel things forward, and that it is going to be a partnership with LISC and to help leverage, but they are separate programs.
So it'll be separate?
Yeah.
Okay, and my second question, is there any locations on the north or east side where it's like, where individuals, small businesses can go to get assistance instead of necessarily some people can't make it downtown or U of M and so forth? Is anything located on the north side or east side to assist individuals in those areas?
One of the things that we've talked about with both the Emerging Developers Program and this is that we want to see that the FaceTime with small-scale developers and small businesses, again, separate programs, but same concept, is that we want to see them, that those meetings and those trainings and those facilitations are happening. They can happen at the office here downtown, but we would like to see, and we'll make sure that, again, part of LISC and their assurance to us, that they will happen out in the neighborhoods. So, yes, we'll make sure of it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor in the second round?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy?
So how will small businesses be able to apply if we award this funding?
If this body approves this resolution tonight and then again on Monday, we would be able to have them apply through LISC to be able, and the initial application would be, I'm thinking 1 to 2 pages. It's not going to be so very burdensome, but then that would help us make sure that then who LISC is working with to then underwrite to make sure that we are getting the dollars out would happen in an equitable way. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone else who would like the floor in the second round? Seeing as how there is no one else who would like the floor in the second round, this is to send Resolution 240189, reallocation of ARPA funds, small business grants, local initiative support corporation, also known as LISC, to council. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jarrett? Yes. Mr. Earl Alleman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. Resolution 240189, reallocation of ARPA funds, small business grants, local initiative support corporation, also known as LISC, has been sent to council. Now moving on to Resolution 240207, issuance of bonds, sewage disposal system, revenue bond system improvements and related costs, standing and priority of lien outstanding bonds, retirement and security of bonds, acceptance of grant, authorization of agreements. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Councilwoman in the second ward.
I move to send this resolution to council.
There is a motion on the floor to send this to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilman in the third ward. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
Is there anyone could speak on this resolution? I know this is a continuation of some improvement. Is there anyone in the back?
Councilman Murphy, I would like to remind you that you have to go through the chair.
Through the chair.
Thank you. I think Ms. Jeanette Best is going to join us at the lectern.
Could you speak on this, I know, bond, and I think this phase 3 of some work we've been working on. Could you explain what's going on?
What is it you would like to know?
Could you explain to us
What the
this
project
bond,
is? The bond is to fund the,
disposal system, revenue bond system improvement and related costs?
okay, the bond is to fund,
Could you speak up, because I cannot hear you?
the bond is to fund part of a project we've been working on for several years. There was a project plan that was submitted in 2019 and was approved by the city council. We did phase 1, which did 6 projects. We did phase 2, that was another 4 projects. We were awarded a grant to do 3 more projects. And this particular project is to take care of a pump station that is no longer in use, to upgrade our electrical distribution system for the entire wastewater plant and all its appurtenances. We would be replacing all of the transformers, because the transformers that are in place right now are vintage 1960s, some of them in the 1970s, so they're really old and they're in imminent,
How much funding is we looking to obtain to finish this phase 3?
Well, the last phase of this is to actually rehabilitate the force main that comes from the 3rd Avenue pump station, which is right next to Kettering University. And that pump station was built in 1925, and it transfers 40% of the flow from, it's basically the Center City wastewater all the way out to the wastewater plant, which is on the corner of Linden and Beecher Road. There are 2 force mains. There was one that was built in 1924 or 25 when they were building the pump station. The other one was built when they expanded the wastewater plant in the 1970s. So these 2 pipelines have not been attended to, the oldest one in 100 years and the newest one in over 50 years. So what we want to do is inspect them, repair them, put in control valves so that we can isolate them and put them in better shape so that we don't have a catastrophic failure. So the biggest part of this project is actually the force main project, which is 3.5 miles of sewer line going all the way to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. So if we approve this, then that allows you guys to do what, not moving forward?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
If we approve this resolution, then this will allow y'all to continue to move forward with y'all projects, or do y'all gotta apply for something?
No, we've applied for this. It's been approved by the state. They, we're just looking for the funding to do it. We've got permits to do the construction. The state has reviewed it. They are, to be honest, the state is really excited to think that we're taking on this project that is way overdue.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
Chair.
Councilman in the 9th Ward.
So, through you to the speaker, when I see revenue bonds, I think about something otherwise that will maybe show up on a ballot or a millage or something to that effect. Is that what will eventually happen here?
No, this is actually paid for by the revenues from the sewer use, the water rates and the sewer rates. So the sewer rates, what you pay, what each person pays for, utilizing the sewer system, those revenues that pay to operate that facility are what's going to pay for this loan.
So is there enough money already being billed that's going to cover that, or we're going to see an increase to cover that?
Well, we're hoping there won't be an increase, but I can't guarantee that. What we're doing with the
with the improvements we've done at the plant is we've tried to reduce the cost of operating the plant. We've done a lot of energy efficient upgrades. So we've been saving realistically millions of dollars in the last couple of years just in the operational costs. So that would help fund the payments for the bonds.
Okay. This might be one of those where I need a little time to understand what's going on, especially given that this resolution was sent today as an amendment to the original agenda. So I really don't know what's going on here, because we just got this added today. So with this one,
On Monday, or on Tuesday at the council meeting, excuse me for interrupting, but we will have the bond attorney here that can go into depth on, you know, some of the ins and outs of this. The thing is, we're on a really tight schedule with Eagle and the Michigan Finance Authority to put these things in place on their milestone schedule. So we have a schedule that we have to meet to be able to issue the bonds.
Mm-hmm.
We need an intent to issue bonds, a resolution for that, and I think there's a 45-day comment period.
yeah, I
They
saw
have to be up-
something in
yeah.
here about, you know, that basically this doesn't have to go to the voters or something to that effect, and it would be unless there's some kind of petition or request within 45 days. Here nor there. I guess I'm hearing you to say it's time sensitive.
Yes, it is very time sensitive.
But what I am saying is, this is just Jonathan, my opinion. If it was that time sensitive and you all have been working on it for months, it wouldn't have been the day of that it finally got to resolution. So I'm gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for me to just not have time to look at something and just pass it along. And I'm trusting that's not any type of strategic play.
No, of course
And
not.
it's just, you know, we are real busy, but if we've been working on it for months, maybe that last .t something, it could have been yesterday or last week. This is not going to committee today.
I might ask Phil for some backup.
No,
Phil Moore.
I
No,
don't
our
mean, you don't need
finance
back
director,
up. I'm sorry, I
because-
didn't mean to attack you.
No, I
It's-
just, the only reason I wanted to say that is there are so many different pieces coming together with this. We had to do a lot of financial work, you know, in the finance department to determine whether or not the city was capable of taking this on. So we have a new bond attorney, we have a new financial advisor. All those people had to be consulted. They had to do all the work, the background work.
Yeah.
And Phil is relatively new to this too. You know, he's new to the city, not new to the process, but new to the city. So there are a lot of moving pieces. One thing I do want to point out, this is a really unique situation for this particular project. The state got ARP money for infrastructure and improvements. And what they did is they wanted to.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
Madam Chair.
Councilwoman in the second ward.
Thank you. Ma'am, you can proceed on my time.
Pardon me?
You can proceed on my time.
Thank you. The uniqueness of this is that the ARP money they have is what they're doing. They're running it through the.
I'm sorry, can we please pause? Her time.
What am I doing?
All right, proceed.
Okay. The state is using that money through the construction grants program, or the CWSRF, the SRF revolving loan fund. And what they're doing is applying that money as principal forgiveness. And what's attached to this, and you'll see at the very end of this big, long discussion, is that there's a $20 million grant that's from the ARP funds that will be taken off the total, which is $66,980,000. So it would reduce the amount that we actually have to borrow money down to $46,980,000. The other thing that's unique in this particular project is that because the city of Flint is what they call a severely overburdened community, they are giving us this loan at an unbelievably low interest rate of 1%, which they said will never happen again. So I just wanted to point out that this is a very unique opportunity. They will give us a grant of $20 million and offer the loan at a 1%. The other two loans we had were not at that rate. So.
Okay, thank you for that, and also want to highlight, I know that you mentioned that it's a lot of moving pieces, and it looks like a lot of different people are responsible for this, correct?
Right.
All right, so, and one thing I want my colleagues on the night forward to understand that we have a shortage, especially in that department. Is that correct?
Pardon me?
We have a shortage of staff.
Yeah, we do.
Right.
We're trying to fill the positions. We're getting close.
Okay, yeah, and so if you have a shortage of staff, we have people doing double jobs and double duty, so sometimes they fall behind. So I definitely understand your sentiment, and thank you so much for sharing that. So just wanted him to realize where we stand in terms of staffing. We are severely understaffed in a lot of areas, and so although I'm not going to 100% say what's done on purpose and what's not, I do know for a fact that we are short of staffing. So I don't want to withhold this just because it came late, because a lot of times when you don't have staff, it come when it can come. So especially when it's a lot of different people involved. So thank you so much for that. And we are right now, Madam Chair, we're looking to send this to where?
To council.
To council, all right, very well. So what I will do, unless my colleagues, unless you would like to speak on this, Mr. Alameen, I don't want to. Okay, Mr. Murphy, did you want to speak? All right, very well. So what I'll do, I'll put a motion on the floor to send it to Special Affairs, so that'll give the colleague in the ninth ward an opportunity to vet it some more when we have some more people here. Does that sound fair? Colleague in the ninth ward, it's okay to respond. Does that sound fair? To send it to.
I want to have my round. I want to have
You want
some questions.
another round?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not a problem.
All right, so is there anyone else in the first round who would like the floor? Anyone else in the first round? All right, so now we're moving to the second round. Y'all just be clapping for anything. Anybody who would like the floor in the second round?
Chair. Yeah.
You have the floor, Councilman in the ninth ward.
So through you, Chair, to the Speaker. Staffing, I get it. When did we find out that there's an opportunity to match funds? Did we just find that out this week?
No, we found out with the intended use plan, and when the state said that our project was eligible for funding. They look at all the projects that are submitted, and they had over 250 projects submitted, and ours came in, I think, number 8.
Out of 250?
Out of 250.
So how long ago was that?
The intended use plan was submitted probably 8 months ago, but.
I'm talking about the approval for the match. When did we find out that there were funds that they were going to match?
That was in the intended use plan.
So
it was
8 months
identified
ago.
there, but that doesn't mean that you can start working toward it. We needed to look at. We didn't have any clue as to, we guessed at how much it was going to cost, and it actually came out costing a little more than we thought.
Okay.
But we needed to get the engineering done.
Right.
So we needed to have a lot of.
So when does the window close for us to say, hey, we have approval to go forward from our council?
To be honest, I don't know that date. I'd have to go look at my files.
Through you, Chair, to the attorney, I know you had some insight here as well.
There was a presentation regarding this bond proposal at the last, maybe 2 council meetings ago, maybe 2 months ago. Emily Gore explained what was happening and that this was a unique opportunity being offered by the state through its EGLE department to basically rebuild infrastructure regarding the city's sewer system that was in danger of complete collapse and literally flooding the city with sewage.
If I can ask, when is the date? When is the cutoff?
I do not know, but maybe if Mr.
Okay.
Moore is here.
I just, again, on somewhat of a understanding, because this afternoon is when I saw this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I, with whatever respect is due to my colleagues and their availability to review and read or what have you, I'm not comfortable representing those that entrusted me with the vote to have to turn a vote right now, and I got to do it.
I thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time? Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
So here's where I'm at. And I hear my colleague in the 9th Ward. And thank you for putting us up to speed on this right here. I would suggest that we move this to special affairs. We bring in others that can answer questions that we don't feel comfortable with. And then once it leaves special affairs, if we're not comfortable, we can move it back to finance or we can move it to council, and that'll give us the opportunity, like he said, short notice today, and to have him have to vote on something this big, he needs time. So I will like to make a motion to move this to special affairs.
There's a motion on the floor to move this item 240207 to special affairs. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. L. Alleman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett?
No.
Madam.
The vote is,
Madam. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
the vote is 4 yes, 1 no.
The vote is 4 yes, 1 no. That motion fails. Is
All
there
right.
anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and utilize my time. So since he didn't want to take it to special affairs and vet it some more, let's see if we can leave it in finance. So I'll put a motion. Yeah. So is that fair?
Oh, that's fair.
So I'll put a motion on the floor to leave it in finance.
There's a motion on the floor to leave Resolution 240207 in finance. Is there support?
I'll support.
It's been moved and properly supported by the councilman in the 1st Ward. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. L. Alleman?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. That motion does pass. So Resolution 240207, issuance of bond sewage disposal system, revenue bond system improvements and related costs, standing and priority of lien, outstanding bond, retirement and security of bonds, acceptance of grant, authorization of agreements, will stay in finance. Moving on, I know that earlier there was a motion to move closed session to after all of the resolutions. We've gotten through the resolutions, but we do not have the number needed to move to closed session. Am I correct, City Attorney? That is correct. Therefore, this will just have to stay here in finance, or unless it's brought up in some other meeting. So now we move on to special orders. There is a special order, which is 240193. A special order was requested by Councilmember Murphy to allow for a 20-minute discussion about the ARPA funds for City Council award priorities. We will start the 20-minute discussion now. Would anyone like the floor?
Thank you.
Councilman Murphy.
Thank you. So when we awarded the categories for ARPA, each council had a budget of $30,000 that they can use towards their ward to do different projects. We know what we want to do in the third ward, and I guess at this point in time, I guess we're ready to move forward on submitting those priorities to, I don't know, through Davina, through you to Davina, how would that work? Do we give you the list of what our ward priorities is, and then do you guys go through the compliance firm, through you to Councilwoman Liddell?
Thank you. So you select what you would like to spend your award funds on. You clear it through Ernst Young, and then you submit your your resolution to us, and we have put it on the agenda, and we vote for it.
Okay. All right. So to my colleagues, you have a $30,000 budget that you can use towards your ward priorities on projects, or if you got organizations or something in your ward that is requesting funds. I know in my ward I got about 2 or 3 organizations that requested funds, and then I know with Rolling Wood Park, they only got a half a court, and they've been requesting to do a full court over there in the Rolling Wood neighborhood. And then with Dewey Park, they basketball court is crumbling.
Please, 1 second. Can we please stop the time? Please stop yelling out from the audience. Thank you. Continue, Mr. Murphy.
So I'm just giving you guys some examples of, in my ward, some issues. I know Rolling Wood is getting ready to do a cleanup, so they want to do some, I think Linda Booz want to do some painting and all of that different kind of stuff. So you guys have an opportunity to submit priorities of what you would like to see with this funds. This is something been allocated, earmarked a while ago. So I just wanted to have this discussion so some of us that's ready to move forward can move forward on our ward priorities. I'm done.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor during this discussion?
Madam Chair.
Councilman in the first ward, you have the floor.
So can these dollars be leveraged with other dollars to increase, say for instance, we know we got a lot of calls and things like in the first ward for home repair and so forth. Can these dollars be leveraged by foundations and so forth to increase that amount to do more homes and so forth?
So, yes. Yes, this is your money, and as long as it's under the compliancy firm approval, you can use it as you see fit within your ward.
And can these dollars also go towards like supporting individuals who may be behind on their taxes, water bills, and so forth?
Well, if they can use ARPA funds for that, I don't see why not. But again, every single dollar that we spend must be vetted through the compliancy firm.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
Madam Chair.
Councilman in the 9th ward, you have the floor.
So is there a form that we're going to use as standard, or is it already in existence?
It's however you choose. So if you choose to do a form for your ward, then you can. Yeah.
So as far as consistency too, because this has to go, if I understand, it's going to Ernst & Young for review, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so there, I'm hearing also that it is at the council person's discretion. Otherwise, how it gets used, it just needs to be approved by Ernst & Young.
Correct.
Okay, so, but then, so once they approve it, did I understand correctly that it's gonna be then put to a resolution and it has to be voted on?
Correct.
So in my mind, that almost isn't that any of us gets to use it however we want to, because we'll need a vote of 5.
Correct.
Well, if I may, if you have colleagues that support your initiative, then you can do it.
I understand what we're saying, that it'll likely get approved. Likely though.
So the thought process behind this is the $30,000 that you will spend in your ward how you would like, and you will be subject to your constituents if you do not do it in the way that they like.
Right.
That your judge and jury on that will be your residents.
Okay. So when I understand this was approved a while ago. Why has there been a delay in expending?
So you want to know why it's been a delay in expending this money? Because I'm bringing you to order. Stop. So the reason why it's been a delay is because no one brought it to the floor. We've been voting on other things, so you can bring it to the floor whenever you see fit.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that others have not already been working in their ward for it.
No,
It's just this is.
I get that.
Yeah.
You know, I get that, and quite frankly, I'm thankful, appreciative of the fact that for the 9th Ward, they hadn't been expended until now, because as the, seated elected official, I get to utilize them in a way in collaboration with the constituents. I do have a certain amount of concern around these funds, especially where we are today. I have concern about these funds being used potentially in a political fashion. So I don't know how we might maybe part of that conversation can be that for seats where there may be some question, maybe that usage currently be set at 15,000 and allow for whomever is going to take the seat after the pending election, and if they then are seated through election, they get use and benefit of that other 15,000. That's just me in this rare opportunity that I think I'll have to dialogue with my colleagues in a special order where we don't have to worry about as much taking the floor or having the floor taken and being able to sort of speak amongst each other, just trying to find some solutions that might be fair. I come here willing and wanting to work with whoever is seated in these other 8. And I want to do it in a way that I'm not concerned about making enemies, but I'm also equally not as concerned about making friends. I just want to make for a good work peer and have us do things in a way where we are, equal parts civil and respectful. So I do want to see us do good work, and I believe there will be good work that we can and will do with these funds that are at our discretion. I just do have, again, those questions and reservations, and I'll cede the floor.
So,
Is there anyone else who would like the floor at this time?
thank you, Madam Chair. All right, so, I definitely hear what he's saying, but with all due respect, the Ninth Ward problems are different than the North Side problems. And so what a lot of us have done, we have had meetings. We have spoke with our constituents. We've heard what they want to do with those funds, and we're acting exactly as we agreed upon to do. So the next step is just for us to get it clear about the compliance fund. One thing I don't want to do, I don't want to make it appear that we are fighting, that we're using funds for political gain. What we're doing is we're using funds to make our wards better. And we were doing it before you got here, and we will continue to do that. And so we encourage you, if you would like some solutions and some thoughts of how to engage your constituents so you can find out how you should use your money, we will. I know I'm definitely open to do that. But, when you ride through the Second Ward and you see grass up to your waist, when you have other rodent issues, when we have other issues that we must attack, when you see those things, there is not an option. You understand what I'm saying? So while we are in these seats, it is our duty to do what's best in our ward. So I don't see why all of a sudden we have to put a dollar amount on what we're doing. We've been doing good work. We're going to continue to doing the good work, and we will work with you to do the good work as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like the floor at this time?
Madam Chair,
You have the floor.
I have one more question. Can council members collaborate to do projects to benefit their wards with these dollars?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
I thank you. Anyone else? All right, so I do want, go ahead.
Here's where I'm at with this. We've been allocated these ward accounts prior to Candace getting here, prior to Leon getting here. What I don't want to do is use this platform as a platform based on political motives when it comes down to people recalling us, because that's what democracy looks like. People have an opportunity and a right, and regardless of whether we here today or gone tomorrow, that's what democracy looks like. People have a right to recall us. People have an opportunity to run for office. You just did, and you was elected. Congratulations. But what I don't want to see us do is use this platform as council members to bring in the politics of, because somebody exercising their right to recall us, or someone is running for office or got appointed a position, the opportunity to be able to do things in their ward because they is exercising a right to run for office. So we want to penalize them because they running for office. It's not right, and that is not what we looked at when it comes down to when we looked at the priorities and we said we wanted to allocate $30,000, we didn't put no restrictions on there, and we didn't say, okay, what if you get recalled during this time, or what if you resign and someone get appointed? I'm not gonna get in that, but what I will do is present my ward priorities to this council body, and if we can get 5 votes to vote for our projects, then that's what we do. But I'm not gonna get into this politics stuff. I'm not gonna start that, and I'm not going there. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. Now that everyone's spoken, I will take my time. I am assuming, as Councilman Murphy pointed out, that everyone is clear that a lot of this was done before most of us currently sitting up here right now were even on council. I would not assume that anyone would be implying that integrity is not in place, or that somehow all of a sudden we cannot do our jobs that we've been doing since we've been appointed and or elected to do should have to cease simply because, like Quincy said, democracy is taking place. The whole point in us being here, both being appointed and elected, is for us to do our jobs no matter what, no matter if you being in the seat may or may not be a few weeks or months from now. The reality is that I have, and you know this firsthand because you've come to meetings, my colleague in the 9th Ward, been working on these projects for months with people in my ward. And so the same way that we're saying we hope it's not political in us expending these funds, we hope it's not political in the stop of us trying to expend these funds. Furthermore, friendship is not a requirement at all for us to do our jobs up here. The only thing that is a requirement is professionalism. And so losing or gaining a friend is not a thought of mine as we go through this. And so as we move forward, like my colleague said, all of this has been in the works before 3 of us were even here. And so now to talk about halting something that residents have been working with their council people on simply because there are unfair implications is absolutely crazy. To say something so unfounded is absolutely ridiculous. I do want to make sure that all of our wards know that when it comes to stuff like this, we will not interfere with one another. If you said that you've talked to your ward and you vetted it with your ward and you do something that your ward does not like, that is on you to have to deal with your ward for not doing something that they like. That is completely on you, because as we all know, one of the things we are subjected to, especially when you are elected, we're subjected to recalls and everything else. So the trust has to be here that everybody is moving to do what's best for their ward, that the conversations are happening with their ward, that the influence that they're getting for spending these dollars are simply coming from their ward, that they're being fair across their ward in the expenditure of these dollars. I'm happy that we are having this conversation for everybody to kind of lay it out and get an understanding of the process. It is my understanding that the way this process works is hopefully you will all go back to your wards, discuss with people in your wards, whichever way you choose to do it, but to discuss with people in your ward how they would like this money expended. Not only that, but after you discuss with them how they would like the money expended, that you would then run it through the compliance firm. The compliance firms would tell you that you are in compliance, and then you would present a plan that you and your ward have come up with before this council, and that this council would respect what you've submitted and respect you as the voice for your ward. Thank you. And at this time, this will end our special order.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
I put a motion on the floor to adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Mashat? Yes. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. Earl Alleman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
Y'all want to start in 5 minutes or now?
Point of order. Yeah, go.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no. I call this meeting of, I now adjourn this meeting of the Finance Committee.
I would like to call this legislative committee meeting to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Earl Alleman?
Present.
Ms. Lewis?
Present.
Mr. Murphy?
Present.
Ms. Priestley is not in. Ms. Winfrey Carter is not in. Ms. Burns is not in. Ms. Mashat?
Present. You have
Mr.
to
Pfeiffer is not
recess.
in.
As soon as she gets done with this, you have to recess.
Mr. Jarrett?
Present.
You have 5 members present.
No, we ain't got to.
Okay.
Is there any changes or addition to the agenda? Are there any changes or addition to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman?
No?
I haven't.
It's one?
Yes. Unfortunately, we missed an ordinance that should have been on the legislative agenda. It was on special affairs. It was postponed back to legislative, and that is ordinance number 240168, which is the open burning ordinance, not the emergency ordinance, but you moved the regular ordinance back to legislative.
Point of order. Is it time up for a certain speaker's list?
What's your,
Yeah, I thought that other speakers were putting their slips in the box, and it was past time.
yeah, we can get to that, but let me, so go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Yes, ordinance number 240168, an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances by amending the open burning section, was postponed back to legislative in the last Special Affairs Committee, and it was mistakenly left off the agenda. So I'm asking if it can be added at this time.
Do you have a copy of it for all of us?
Yes, but I wasn't gonna give it out unless you, let it be added or voted to add it back to the agenda.
What's the pleasure of the body? I would like to add it on the agenda without any objection. Say that again? We could still add it on the agenda and just postpone it to the, yeah. So, yes, I would like to add it on the agenda without any objection, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
All right, with that only one change, now is the time for public speaking. Our first public speaker.
The first speaker is Bernadine Lorenzo.
Say it again.
Bernadine Lorenzo.
Lorinda?
No, I don't think she's in. The next speaker is R.L. Mitchell.
Hello, my name is R.L. Mitchell, and I live in the 3rd Ward, 759 East Linden. America, as you heard about Flint Town just now a few minutes ago, we are on the list of, out of 200 states in America, number 8, a burden city, but the state gonna give us 1%. But that 1% is $20 million. And the other thing about this situation, we on a time limit thing like this 9th Ward was talking about. They always filibustering around for they want to throw away them $30 million for we Flintstones can get further penalized or looked down on like we don't know what we're doing in America, in Flint. And Ms. Mashat and the new 3 newcomers on this board, you see, we just barely make it because the Shady Bunch done lost their vote in 9th Ward coming in and messing up their plan like Tiger Woods messed up the white man game, stepping on the green, and Becky beat the black back on the guy, and take that, America. And look, people's going to watch their kids to get graduated from them high school, 2 of them at the same time, and we're still taking care of business. Thanks to Rosalind over there, the city clerk, Jasmine. Yeah. And another thing, when the business come to Flint like this, we don't tear up Oak Park, the only park, the first park in Flint, and trying to upgrade the park without doing, who y'all think? Man, we gon' repub the historic park without your, Mr. Murphy, without your input. Because you let them taking over St. John without you. You ain't standing by, ain't doing nothing with DuPont, James P. Cole. They're rearranging stuff from Pontiac, talking about rearrange Flint from start from Mott. The Mott students giving people the right to plant cedar trees in Flint, and came must get them in. Got to have plumbing license, and he was digging Flint and scared to hire people and scared to talk up. And Ninth Ward ain't scared to talk up. He already showed that. He drunken clicks. He gonna take that over and out.
Next speaker.
The next speaker is John McFadden.
I think he is gone. John McFadden.
The next
speaker
is Sherry Smith.
I think she is gone too. Next speaker.
Next speaker is AC Dumas.
AC Dumas, I want to acknowledge Commissioner Lloyd. All right. See, he sat in those seats. I want to say this. First of all, the $30,000, they used to have ward accounts. I've been around long, probably before some of y'all was born, most of you. They used to have ward accounts. And the highest ward account it was $10,000. And they would do things in the ward. This is nothing but a political slush account to make the resident think you're doing something. But you ain't doing nothing. And they see far beyond the political slush account. And Mr. Jared, don't let them beat you down. Because they'll make they'll make you seem as though you're evil. When you don't agree with them, you're evil. The honeymoon is over. Now I'm going to say that. And we're watching, because you don't move me. Not at all. Now we got this ordinance to change the rules, disorderly conduct. Please, don't even don't even vote on it. Because you know why? It weaponizes the residents. They'll take those police officers back there and weaponize us. They have put people out 80 years old out of this chambers. I implore you, please don't. We know where they are. So I'm saying what I'm saying. Well, what about this area, Mr. Murphy, over there? What about the other area? You need votes over there. See, you need votes. And you're going for votes. Mr. Machek, don't act like, well, we're not political. It is political. And you know it's political. I ain't saying you're stealing money. I'm just saying it's political. And you'd be crazy if you didn't use it as political. I know if I was in your seat, I wouldn't. But you not me, and I'm not you. So I said what I said, and I meant what I said. I'm a senior citizen, but I'm not senile. I was going to get it. It's going to take me a little bit. Thank you for this opportunity to set the record straight.
The The next speaker is Ron Wah. W-A-U-G-H. Okay.
Okay.
The next speaker is, okay, just for the record, the new speaker slips have check marks for each committee. So I'm going to assume that if you didn't check governmental ops, you don't want to speak at legislative. So, Ms. Jan-Marie Arbor, just want to make sure. Okay. Next speaker is Luana Terry. Okay. And the same for Ms. Allison Montgomery Littlejohn. Did not check legislative, just making sure. Next speaker will be Ms. E. Taylor.
So I have a couple of points I'd like to make, that I don't think Flint can afford any more bonds or loans. I think we are in debt. Everybody knows it, and that's why we got the ARPA fund, that's why we got that much. So we really have to be very careful about that. I want to reiterate that Oak Park is equally as important as Pierce Park. The other point I want to make is we had a chance to save the Patterson building that was owned by a black man, but no, we wanted to do political favors for Community First. We have to know that those things are happening in our face. Now, nobody wants to look at me when I'm talking. The other item is number 4, is the police. They've got to leave the council because they're not here for us. So the other thing I wanted to mention is, Ms. Machette, do you live in an apartment or a house? Because at the College and Cultural Neighborhood meeting, and there are other members are here with me this evening, you noted that you mow your lawn, but if you live in an apartment, you're not mowing your lawn. And I think that you mouthed that I had lied when I spoke the last time. I think that's what you mouthed. I hope it is on film. I don't think you should talk to constituents that way. I have never accused you of lying. Not to say that I won't, I just haven't. The other thing, that City Hall sidewalks are important to all of us, but we can't choose who gets this. We have to do a better service for the community. And again, we cannot afford any loans. We can't afford any loans. My water bill is already carrying loans. And again, I want to say, if you're going to do any changes for meetings, if you're going to do any changes for hearings or your rules, again, you define these rules. You should have a public hearing. You should ask the community, what do you think about us reducing your time to speak? Oh, and I think those $30,000, I look at those as T-shirts. You'll be walking around with T-shirts on that said, I gave this to the neighborhood because you're concerned about being recalled, and the community does have an opportunity democratically to recall whomever we think isn't supporting the community. And the other thing is, Mrs. McClinton and all of the community has asked for ARPA money to be used specifically to a household, but you get to decide whether a house gets a furnace or not.
The next speaker is Claire McClinton.
Say it one more time.
Claire McClinton.
Oh, Claire McClinton.
Claire McClinton, Flint resident. I didn't get, in my brief 3 minutes, a chance to congratulate our new council person, Mr. Jarrett. Congratulations. You have a legacy family in the city of Flint, and here you are making more history, so thank you for that. And I hope that the council will look at the resolution that said that the clerk must inform the city about foreclosures. And we have asked time and time again to have the attorney look into that and see that the city received notice about the 109 homes. Nobody wants to answer it. Why, I don't know. But if the county violated that, and we're told they did inform the other cities, there were 220 homes, Flint had 190, then soon as the investors purchased the homes, y'all rush some money over there to legal aid. Legal aid can't do nothing for them. Just make sure they give them proper notice for you evicted and all. That's not what we want. If the county violated that ordinance and they sent notices to the other communities, then the treasurer need to void that contract with the investors and let the people stay in their home. So I don't have anything else to say. We're looking forward to rehab and rehabilitation, and it's no secret. The recalls and the elections and all, it is political. It's all political. It will make a difference on the outcome of these races. It will. Thank you, and it should. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Rich Jones.
How y'all doing today? I just want to come up here and tell y'all once again, I ain't getting tired. I may have been missing, but I ain't tired. I watched the last meeting, another bonfire, making history for all the wrong stuff. All around the nation, people are watching what's taking place at these meetings. Somebody gonna be knocking on y'all doors and y'all might not want to answer it. I always say, and I'm gonna say it again, don't do nothing that will not allow you to answer your door. And right now, some of the things that y'all are doing is bringing a whole lot of negative attention to this city. Nationwide negative attention. And it's ridiculous because y'all should have a reputation of helping the people. It hurt me so bad at that last meeting, Quincy, when you went up there and talking about the people that paid their water bill, when you know that 70% of our water bill is the KWA bond, and you know that we can't drink straight out of our sinks, even from the houses, and this is something else that I hope you be aware of. We start at the wrong end of the conversations. Let's talk about our pipe replacement. They should have been replacing stuff from the water plant up to our homes instead of replacing the lines, which still require filters. When it came to the Buick City project, they should have told the people, we're going to tax you $72 million. We're going to clean up the site. We're going to build a building. We're going to get somebody to occupy this building. And then we're going to hire 3,000 people. That's a 15 to 20-year process. You did not say that, and it may be less. I may be wrong on that. It may be less. But instead of saying that, you said 3,000 jobs. I'm not going to stop 3,000 jobs from coming to this city. Should have started from this. And another question. On the where y'all built that old park, next to the old park, is y'all really going to put a battery plant there? Because I feel that y'all should put a battery plant on an old Blue Wave site. that's already contaminated. And y'all really don't have a quorum either, but, so I can still talk, but no, I'm good.
Next speaker.
The last speaker is James Moore.
James Moore in the 2nd Ward. I'm going to try to be brief with the 3 minutes that I have. I just want to say to the wards, the 1st Ward and the 9th Ward, these are the wards that are going to make the difference. You are the guys that's going to tie the knot. It's not going to come down to what's in the middle, it's going to come down to what's on the end. And then I want to be able to say a shout out to My City Magazine, the May edition. I briefly read, and I was happy to see something that should be pointed it out, and I'm hoping that most people, if you don't know about the My City Magazine, go to the library. It's there for free, and read it. They do have councilmen of the 1st Ward in his previous business and what they're doing and taking young carpenters, taking carpenters to make a difference for families to be able to take a majority of old homes that we have here in the city of Flint and making them livable again. I applaud that anyone that can hear my voice or is watching, go to the public library, enjoy the library, but take a look at the May edition for My City. It's actually a good program that they're doing, and I wish that they would do more to point out what's going on in our city. The newspaper don't seem to do it, so maybe My City can. And I wish that they would point out how hard the people of the city of Flint work to clean their yards up. And if it's 9 wards, and if they had 10 people, it would be 90 different articles on just how well it is in Flint. And then the last one, they got a commercial going out talking about manufacturing and all of this here and all of the great things that's happening and all of the good things that's going to come. I want to say to the people that's doing that, why would you say it's Genesee County when it's here in Flint? You don't even bring us up.
Next speaker.
That was the last speaker.
Okay. Council responds. Any council respond? Any council responds? Going once, going twice? I would like to respond. Let me respond to AC Dumas. AC, you talked about the ward accounts and what our priorities, and it is political. But one thing about Councilman Murphy, and maybe you still can't grasp the fact that I am the councilman in the 3rd Ward. 2 years ago, I went over and watched them kids play in Rollingwood Park. 1 basketball court. I told them kids, I'll come back and I'll do what I can to help bring a full court because it's a lot of play over there. It's a lot of activity. And while you driving around trying to find things to criticize in the 3rd Ward, go over there in Rollingwood Park on a hot day and see how them kids is playing basketball on 1 court. And then you said you went to Dewey Park. Let me get back out your car again, since you like to ride around. And when you go up Dewey Park, all you gotta do is pull up on Moore Street, look at that basketball court. 2 boats holding up the basketball rim. Next time, walk the basketball court and see what's going on. Instead of you, matter of fact, go down Holbrook Street and go to Good Church and look at the laundromats. Instead of you trying to embrace positive stuff in the third ward. Every time you hit that podium, you don't have nothing but negative stuff to talk about when it comes down to this community or what somebody ain't doing because they ain't doing what you do. It'll be a cold day in hell before I follow you. Thank you. That's it for the response. For the legislative, what's the pleasure of the body for y'all? I would like to do a consent agreement with any separations.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
There's been a motion made to do a consent agreement. Is there a second?
Support.
There's been a motion made and supported by Councilman Dr. Lewis. Is there any separations? Yes, Councilman Jarrett.
Let's go ahead and separate 240191.
240191.
Well, yeah, it's only two.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is there any other separation? I know you wanted to keep the add-on
Yeah,
ordinance.
yeah.
You want to
And-
separate that
and
one too?
separate that one also, thank you.
Okay.
240168.
So that one is 240168. We're going to separate those two. Roll call, Madam Clerk, for the consent agreement.
Okay.
Request for information.
Excuse me. The consent agreement is for ordinance 240192, amendment of the ordinance chapter 46, utilities, article 2, water supply and sewer disposal system division, by replacement of lead service lines.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No, there was no actual motion made. It was just, it said, I make a motion for the consent agenda, but is it to move it to council?
Yeah, yeah. That was the motion made with the consent agreement to move it to council.
Okay.
And we separated the two that Councilman Jarrett.
Mr. Alleman.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat? Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
All right, 5 yes, 0 no. That motion is moved to council. Our first separation is 240191, amendment ordinance chapter 31, general offenses, article 1, and general section 3110, disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly person. An ordinance to amend chapter 31, general offenses, article 1, and general of the code of the city of Flint by amending section 31-10, disorderly conduct, assault and battery, and disorderly person. Note, this ordinance shall become effective 30 days after an enactment. This separation was by Councilman Garrett. What's the pleasure of this body for this ordinance?
I'd like to make a motion to send Resolution 240191 to council.
To where?
Council.
There's been a motion to move 240191 to council. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Chair.
Councilman Jarrett.
So, I'm somewhat assuming that this ordinance is being amended as a result of some of the behavior in the chambers. That sort of said, I'm looking at some of the words that are used, and for example, in the resolution under definition 5, threat means the expression of an intent.
Keep going. Keep going, Councilman. Keep going, Councilman Jarrett.
Go ahead.
Point of order. I'm calling the audience to order. It's still
Are we
on
at
you.
recess?
No, we don't. Yeah.
Threat means the expression of an intent to commit an act. Now, when I see that word intent, it seems like there's a difference then in distinction between what I would otherwise hear the elected officials say when we say we don't know each other's intent. But at this point, are we going to be the arbiter of what someone's intent is outside of the 9 of us? I just, I don't know if for the years that we have had this body, if we may have some to do with why this is necessary today. And maybe wanna myself see if we can do different, which might cause for they to do different and not be a need to put rules in place that should speak to what otherwise we view or would want to view as decorum. So I'm really not for adopting today or even moving this to council today, because I don't know that this is necessary when we model what we expect of others. So that said, I yield my time.
Next speaker. Yes. Is there anyone else?
Madam, excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, I would like to speak. All right, so according to this resolution, I'll be remiss not to vote for it, because one thing that we're voting for, we're voting for the safety and security of all council members, and not just council members. We're talking about appointed officials, elected officials, and city employees. And so what I would not do, I would not vote to not ensure them the safety that they need in order to do their job. As someone on the other end, and I'm not sure if our colleague in the 9th Ward was here that day, but you know, when you have multiple people yelling in the audience that they're gonna quote unquote beat your ass, and as well as people doing those things of that nature, I'm bringing you to order, Ariel, so that's your warning. So again, this is a professional legislative body, and this legislative body is set by certain rules. And these rules demand that the people that are in attendance, that they have decorum. And with that decorum, that includes to be able to do your job in a non-threatening environment. And so when we say that we're not gonna support this, it gives the impression that we're not for working in a safe and stable environment. Or it gives the impression that if it's happening to someone else, it's okay. And so what we need to do, we need to make sure that we are providing safety for everyone, and that includes elected officials, that includes appointed officials, the people from our boards, the zoning board, different commissions. Moreover, we're talking, Mr. Jones, let's not yell out. And let's not yell out, ma'am. Okay, so you're being brought to order. So, from our elected seats, it is not a threat from the colleagues on the Diaz, but we had several instances of having riotous behavior in these chambers. We had aggressive behavior towards colleagues in these chambers. We had people from the audience run up to elected officials in these chambers. And we want to make sure, that we have a safe, working environment. So I just encourage our colleagues to think about that, because just because it's not happening to you does not mean that it's not a problem. And we want to make sure that we're setting the tone for future council people. We're setting the tone for future appointed people. We're setting the tone for future staff members that we have yet to hire. It's important because no one wants to come to a place that's unsafe. We have a lot of residents, they don't even want to come. They don't want to come to this place because they feel unsafe. Because people are being threatened at the lectern as they're speaking. People are yelling out, violation of several council rules. So we just want to make sure that we have the environment that we need to conduct the city's business. And that includes making sure that everyone is equally protected underneath the law. And this is what it is. So again, I implore my colleagues to think about not only the safety of yourself, but other appointed board members. Think about the safety of the city workers. We had city workers that also got aggressively approached by members of the audience. We need to make sure that we're thinking about individuals in the future, because we're not going to be in these seats always. And a lot of times, it's not even enticing to serve in these seats. So, being that people may feel unsafe, that may be another barrier that prevents them. So let's do something great for the city. Let's make sure that we're keeping everyone safe, because as you see, this meeting can be very productive. This meeting can flow, and we can get the business of the city done, whether we all agree or not. It's not about all agreeing. You vote the way you're going to vote and go home. This is the way the body's supposed to operate. So we want to make sure that we are being in line with that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any other speaker?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Councilman.
I want to point out that even as my colleague in the second ward was speaking, respectfully, calmly, staying focused, that there were members of the audience who was proving the very reason why this has been introduced. I want to be clear that this is not something that's being entered into lightly, and that there are things that happen in chambers around the country things that happen here don't happen all around the country. There are people who show up and are able to go to meetings and feel safe at meetings. They don't feel threatened while they're at these meetings. They're not having to contact their elected official and say, hey, when I was at this meeting, I was threatened, or this happened or that happened. The concern has to be for everyone in the city and not just for a select few. See, even as I'm speaking now, all of this behavior is simply to get a reaction when all we're trying to do is the business of the city. When we know right now we should not be yelling out in the chambers, we should not be walking back and forth purposely trying to be a distraction. I think that respect absolutely has to go both ways. I think we've sat here even tonight with certain things that have occurred and continued our meetings in spite of what's happening. And so the only thing that I can say is point to this is the best example, and I am happy that the city of Flint now has its own YouTube channel so that everyone can see the totality, the full behavior, everything that's happening and nothing that is modified, so that the entire country, but more importantly, the residents of Flint can see the actual story of what goes on in these chambers, how it happens, and why we end up where we end up at certain points in our meetings. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any other speakers that would like to speak in the first round? Is there anybody else who would like to speak in the second round? Councilman Garrett?
Yeah. I absolutely support having a working environment that is safe and stable. I also, in that, believe that it is the responsibility of all to do their individual part to make sure that it is just that. Again, the reason why you will hear a no vote on this from me is because I believe we have, as a council, an opportunity in the 30 days or however long it can be brought back to demonstrate that we are setting a different tone and temperature in these chambers. We will lead by example and not lead legislatively in a way that causes others to be penalized and not us demonstrating that we are holding ourselves accountable. Thank you.
You done? Okay. All right. Anybody else in the second round?
I'll go ahead and speak. Thank you. And so, although I hear my colleague in the 9th Ward talking about demonstrating behavior, but just like the colleague in the 7th Ward said, we sat here patiently and quietly in our seats when we had people running around with the sign to be a distraction, when we had people yelling out, telling the vice president to shut up. All this happened while you sat in that seat. And
point of order.
Yeah.
Point of order. I'm calling
that's the lady
whoever
with
the
white
audience
head
member. I don't know specifically who it is, but I can hear you.
The lady in the white head.
In the white headphones. I'm calling you to order. I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. So colleague in the 9th Ward, you just heard the yell out, and then when she got brought to order, she said, "And this is the behavior that this is the disorderliness that we're talking about."
Point. Hold on. I'm calling the audience member in the hat. I'm giving you your first warning.
Again, colleague in the 9th Ward, we implore you to open your eyes and take a look, take a listen at what's happening right before you. So your colleagues, this is happening in real time. So, again, ma'am, you keep yelling out. So,
that's your second warning. Officer, can you escort her out? Officer, can you escort her out? This is her second warning. Thank you.
And so,
okay, thank you.
Colleague in the 9th Ward, colleague in the 9th Ward, colleague in the 9th Ward, colleague in the 9th Ward. So, colleague in the 9th Ward, this is a violation. Colleague in the 9th Ward, just want to make sure that you hear me. This is a violation. Colleague in the 9th Ward, do you hear this? This is why we have rules. This is why we're looking to change them. According to the Disorderly Person City Code subsection, when you disrupt an orderly meeting, you are in violation. That lady was in violation.
Point of information.
What's your point of information?
What, my question is, what just transpired? Does it speak to any of the part of the ordinances that's being changed?
You want me to answer it?
Okay.
What just transpired is when we have a dialogue.
Please, stop the time. We're running the time, and that's my time. So we need some more time on the clock.
Yeah.
If it's okay, Mr. Chair.
What just happened is when we having dialogue on the subject matter is the separation that you separated for the disorderly conduct. In our discussion, the audience is blurting out. We gave them the opportunity to speak 3 minutes during public comment. They had an opportunity to sign up. We cannot allow, while we having dialogue, the audience to just blurt out and be speaking like that while we having dialogue concerning the resolution. So I called them to order the first time, gave them their first warning, just to let them know that I can hear you speaking out. Then they continued it. The second warning, you gotta go, because at this point you ain't listening to what we trying to do, and we just trying to get the business done. So that's what you just saw.
All right, so I'll go ahead.
Request for information.
Yes.
Yes. Does the chair know that he was asking about Section A, number 4 and 5?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. I thought you was talking about just this, my fault.
I get how that.
It went over my head.
You're fine.
Yeah. Charge it to the game. So what was your question again?
Does what just transpired, is that in any way speaking to C, threat against local public official, or the definitions? Does that wasn't that?
No.
Okay,
no,
that right
no,
there was 5.
No.
Persist in disturbing, right?
No, not at all.
All right, thank you.
No.
All right.
Okay. Could you give her? Y'all good? Y'all giving her some time back? No. Okay. All right. On to you.
Thank you. So just because that was not a threat does not mean that it is disorderly, because according to our laws, you cannot be disorderly. You cannot cause a disruption in a meeting. So you don't have to administer a threat to be disorderly. And so we must keep that in mind. So one thing that we should not do, we shouldn't wait till more threats come, because if you would like, I trust that since you ran for the seat. Okay, is that Ms. Danzler in the back that we need to bring to order? Please stop. Thank you, member of the Ethics and Accountability Board. So,
excuse me, you cannot just be speaking out like that. That's your first warning. Okay, that's your second warning. Officer, can you remove her out of here too? Ethics and Accountability Board.
What did I just tell you? I'm here on my own merit. I'm not here for the Ethics and Accountability Board. So you can shut your goddamn mouth up.
So again, Councilman in the 9th Ward, this is what we have to put up with. This is a member of our board that has been charged to uphold the ethics and accountability of the city. Just told the chair to shut his goddamn mouth up. These are the things that we're trying to make sure that we eliminate. We had someone call the vice president a cunt and walked out. We have, this is real life in real time. So we don't want to act like that this is not happening when it is. So again, I implore you, before someone else gets their ads threatened to be beat, before things go violently left in these chambers. We need to make sure that everyone is equally protected underneath the law, and that's exactly what this ordinance is setting to do. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this? Okay, this motion is to, say that again? I think we was already, I thought we was in the second round.
Mr. Chair,
We
may I have
did
the floor?
second round. Oh, okay, you want to
Yeah.
do this? Okay, come on.
Yes, you asked, was anybody else like to speak
Oh, yeah,
on this? I
yeah,
think
sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think the behavior that we just saw speaks for itself. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, this is a motion to move this to council. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Ms. Mashat? Yes. Mr. Jarrett?
No.
Mr. L. Alaman?
No.
And the vote is 2 yes, 3 no.
All right, that motion fails. Is
Madam,
there-
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to move this, to keep this in, what is this? Legislative.
there's a motion to keep the, ordinance 240191 in legislative. Is there support?
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat? Yes. Mr. Jarrett?
No.
Mr. L. Alaman?
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. L. Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
The vote is 4 yes, 1 no.
That motion fails. So is there another motion, or you guys want to move on? Let's move on. Our next separation is separation 240168, an ordinance to amend the Flint Code of Ordinance Chapter 4, Air Pollution Control. It is hereby ordained by the people of the city of Flint, Section 1, an ordinance to amend the Flint City Code of Ordinance by amending Chapter 4, Air Pollution Control, by amending Section 4-13, opening burning, which shall read in this entirety as follow. And I'm not going to read all of it.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to put a motion on the floor to leave Resolution 240168 here in this committee.
There's been a motion put on the floor to keep Resolution 240168 in legislative. Is there support?
Support.
This has been moved and supported in the discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I know we talked about this earlier. One is giving our colleague in the 9th Ward an opportunity to be caught up on this particular resolution. And then my second reason is also because I do think we really need to hear from the fire department concerning this resolution. And then also, there are just some real concerns when we start talking about open burning and what is allowed, what isn't allowed. We start talking about fire safety. We start talking about air quality hazards. There are a lot of things that have to be discussed. And so I cannot wait for the fire department to stand before us so that we can have this discussion about potentially moving forward or just completely stopping this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me, Ms. Mashat? Yes. Mr. Jarrett?
Yes.
Mr. L. Alaman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
5 yes, 0 no. That motion is staying in legislative. I'll entertain someone a motion to adjourn. Yes. There's been a motion made to adjourn.
Support.
Support made by Dr. Lewis. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Jarrett.
Yes.
Mr. Alaman.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Ms. Mashat. And the vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
5 yes, this meeting is adjourned. Did this go to you? All yours.
The time is now 8:21 p.m. on Wednesday, May 22nd. I hereby call this Governmental Operations Committee meeting to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Alaman.
Present.
Ms. Lewis.
Present.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes, present.
Ms. Priestley is absent. Ms. Winfrey Carter is absent. Ms. Burns is absent. Ms. Mashat
is present.
Mr. Pfeiffer is absent. Mr. Jarrett.
Present.
You have 5 members present.
We have 5 members present. Are there any requests for agenda changes and/or additions? Seeing as how there are none, we will now move to public comment. Members of the public who wish to address the city council or its committees must register before this meeting. A box will be placed at the entrance to the city council chambers for collection of registrations. No additional speakers or slips will be accepted after the meeting begins. Members of the public shall have no more than 3 minutes per speaking during public comment, with 1 speaking opportunity per speaker. All speakers are subject to the disorderly persons subsection. First, public speaker, Madam Clerk.
The first speaker is Bernadine Lorenzo. She's not in. Next speaker is R.L. Mitchell.
I'm R.L. Mitchell. About the fire department and team challenge. You should, to speak up for them $30 million that's going to get wasted because it's time sensitive. You should all get plumber's license, because if you don't have plumber's license, you can't turn over the old pipes in the ground without plumber's license. But you can. But once you do it, you will get penalized, just like all the inspectors in Flint. It don't count. That's how the land bank got away with all them houses they got free and all the free land. People don't talk about that stuff, and they think all the teams that 18 years old is born okie dokies, like they don't know nothing. They got sense enough to be the president of a city, of the school council, when they got sense enough to speak up for themselves without letting you put words in their mouth for them. And don't say that with Paul Harvey back there. Got it on film and got their YouTube stuff, taking that film and break that camera up there on purpose for the peoples in other cities don't want to know, don't want peoples to know what's really going on in Flint. Because this is an industrial city, talking about burning down cities, all that junk in 1% represent $20 million and all that stuff. What they educating them people out school for, talking about teen challenge, June 18th and junk. They only got 1 more year to be a teenager, 19, and where they go from there? And you're going to come up here crying because you can't get start your own business and go to the soup kitchen. As a college, you kind of Urkel generation, beam them up, Scott Kincaid and all that junk. Man, oh yeah, welcome to 9th Ward, sir. You sitting in Scott Kincaid seat, over in your ward by Southwestern, all that junk. Like he'll take time off to go see his son graduate when people put it on a sign tip, a sensitive thing, talking about you doctors don't know how to run the city of Flint. Give me that money back and asking a lawyer longer. A lawyer don't even know, can't even give you a straight answer back. Look at him. And Tim sitting in the background and looking at a newcomer on the board and got you looking curious. And and Eveline over there threatening you right there in front of your face and trying to make you say some feedback, because she don't know. Look at over there. Oh, but that college over there on Benton Road, Baker College. You see, they get in there having sense enough to keep their own college in business. You know, don't throw them out and put all that junk. Once you jump on Jordan College, scared to talk, say peace to the Middle East. All them colleges talking about trying to figure out how to jump on Israel, like the dude with the helicopter crash, or Abraham, and all that.
Thank you.
Jump
Next public
peace to the
speaker,
Middle
Madam
East till I get over there.
Clerk. Next public speaker.
Next speaker is A.C. Dumas.
Well, I give A.C. Dumas. I do have a procedural question for this council. I don't know everything, but at the absence of a chair, does not the president take the chair when the absence of the chair, unless Mr. Mashat was appointed by the president as the chair of this committee, voted on by the council? If that didn't happen, my question is, why would Ms. Mashat have served as the chair? I mean, in normal organizations, that's how it happens. Ms. Liddell should be the chair and not Ms. Mashat. Hello? Mr. Alameen, you chair organizations. I know I'm right. And I want to say this also. When we talked about the KMI road maintenance, the reason I brought that up, those are the same company that's supposed to do the restoration for the street restoration. The same company. They were the sub of LGC Global. Now, how are they the highest bid? Of course, what I heard, and they got the contract. Some is riding in Denmark. No, some is riding in Flint, not Denmark. Help me to make sense of that. I've been around a long time. How does the highest, well, I guess we saw the garbage contract. I guess nothing surprises me. But I just want to find somebody, maybe somebody can tell me why, and you know, I say things are political. You'd be surprised who gives to politicians campaign through a PAC, through a PAC, which is legal. So that's a question to me. How did they just, highest bid gets the contract? Mr. Jared brought up a good question. When you don't go and replace, like Mr. Murphy, you had the sidewalks all the way around your house replaced. Whether they were, I just said that's true, that's a fact. So when you're spending government money, you don't replace, if it ain't broke, what? I'm sitting down.
Thank you. Next public speaker.
Lawana Terry.
I think she left. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. She is declining.
Ms. E. Taylor.
So I would like to mention again that LIS did the Saginaw Street, is that right, Mr. Dumas? And they failed, and we would look at them again, and the downtown employers are not happy with what has happened, because that business has been cut off for 2 years. And that is just not an acceptable, I mean, I just don't understand why the city does this. You know, with the ARPA money, we could have been the greatest city in Michigan or the United States. We had so much money that we could have helped with roofs and furnaces and windows and doors and sidewalks. We could have done it all. But we chose not to do that, against the public's wishes. We keep making separations. We keep making separations. We have to not do that anymore. We have to not do that anymore. And one of my friends said, maybe I should come up and not lecture to the council each time. Gosh, that's hard. Maybe I should just stand here and be quiet and show peace. The other thing that's important is we walked a young lady out because you decided to call the police on her. Before we could come back up to our seats, you had already put out another lady. That's when I really miss Mr. Mays a lot, because he would stop those things. He was very good at keeping the community together and showing support. He would get up from that seat and make sure those things didn't happen. I just think we need to value our residents a lot more than we are. And does it need to be a resident that says that? Pleading with you? This is what peace looks like.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk.
The next speaker is Claire McClinton.
Claire McClinton. I think that you all that's on the council should pay a little bit more attention to the pain and suffering, the frustration, the depression, the post-traumatic stress, and all of that, what we've been through. I feel like saying, council, behold your people. A mentor of mine and of many others, General Baker, used to say that we had, in fighting for social justice, we had 3 fronts of struggle. One is the courts. We in Flint been to the courts. We still ain't got our money. Can y'all appreciate the frustration of the community? The pain and suffering, no compensation yet? We've been to the courts. We've been to the legislature. The legislature hasn't repealed the emergency manager law that drove us into this disaster. They haven't changed that law. It's still on the books. Snyder gone, but the law's still there. All right now. So can you appreciate the disgust and humiliation and frustration that the community comes here with? But yet we hear, I'll clear out this chambers. Is that how you talk to a depressed and oppressed people? So we've been to the court. We've been to the legislature. We did successfully repeal the Public Act 4 emergency manager law, but the legislature tweaked it and kept it in place. You know about that, Quincy. You was out there with us. So now all we got left is, we've been to the court, the legislature, all we got left is the street. And that's how come some of y'all is up for recall. Because now we got to turn to the street. And that's why we got new leadership on this council. If you at least act like you care, play like you care, so the struggle continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next public speaker.
The next speaker is Rich Jones.
Once again, I'm gonna ask y'all nicely, please stop giving those warnings out. Be a little bit more patient. Now, I admit, if they go too far, like we do have residents that go too far, and I feel that some people come up here with the intentions on giving warnings. I understand that. But every little thing, you looking for, come on, it's exaggeration. And a prime example was when Miss Elizabeth got into it with Paul. That was terrible. That woman did not hit that man. And for you to say a resident is attacking a resident, and for them, and even today, how quick he came up there to take Lottie out of here. Ain't nobody gonna stand up to you, stand up to yourself. Liddell, you set a bad example by you constantly giving warnings and then rubbed off on Candace, and now Quincy been hit people with warnings like that. Control yourself, be a little bit more patient with the community. I advise you to go to an ethics and accountability meeting. The room is real little. And there is a conversation going on that's not involving them at all. But they carry their meeting on like ain't nobody in the room but them. The only person that complained at that meeting so far has been Paul. Only if Paul is picking it up on his camera, they gotta be hearing it. But they just go on about their business. Then when the clock expires, they don't say nothing, but you go a little bit too far, he give you the signal. Y'all, like once again, you watching the clock. You can't wait till the last 5 seconds so you can get ready to say your time is up. When Mr. Jared was asking that woman questions, Quincy shouldn't have had to pick it up. He should have asked the question, his time should have stopped, and she should have answered it. Quincy had to come in and ask the same questions because she didn't have enough time to answer Jared's questions. That got an end too. And then y'all got 5 minutes to talk about nothing, but 2 minutes to address all these public speakers. And sometimes y'all don't even use those 2 minutes to address them, but y'all address a personal attack. I want to hear from y'all that y'all are trying to help people save their houses. That y'all are trying to help people get their roofs fixed.
Next public speaker, please.
The next speaker is James Moore.
James Moore from the 2nd Ward. I just want to say to the people that we have here in the whole chamber, the elected officials as well as our residents, I'd like to use an example if possible. Have you ever heard of the tailgate parties that they have in the city of Flint? with Northwestern kicking it off and Southwestern finishing it up. Go ahead on and lean, scratch your head, hell, it don't matter. But I want to tell you this, they don't have no incidents going on, ain't no shootings going on, ain't no fighting going on. Maybe y'all should get with some people in your community and ask, how do we hold this city together? Because they seem to do it quite well at the tailgate parties, and not just only Flint Central and Flint Northern and Flint Southwestern, Flint Northwestern, but Flint Powers is doing it. They were the Ritchie folks, and they're like, the tailgate is a nice party. Beecher is doing it, just north of Flint. I don't know what they're doing in Grand Blanc, but I got a good feeling Swartz Creek and Kersley, they're gonna be joining soon too, because they know how to have a party, a good time. We gotta stop making it look like it's so bad, so dangerous, and somebody gonna get killed, because ain't nobody done got killed down here in this chamber. So quit tripping, okay? And like they said, a good example of what's going on that we're not paying attention to is Saginaw, Michigan, because they use their money to help their people. Yes, we want to see Flint move forward, but we don't want to see Flint's people throughout. And I know you know what I'm talking about, so have a good day.
Thank you. Next public speaker, please.
The last speaker is Kawana Mack.
Kawana Mack from Mushat's temporary position in the 7th Ward. How dare y'all come up with an ordinance to protect the city council and the public workers and leave us out? You're throwing the rock and hiding your hand. But you know what? You didn't hide your hand when you got up in Pfeiffer's face, walked down off that podium behind that man, still trying to bring it to him. Mushat, lower your chair, talk out the side of your mouth, and how dare you talk to Miss Winfrey Carter like you did. A shame before God. And y'all getting out of here. Quincy, Lewis, Elamine, and Mushat. Y'all want that $30,000 to throw up some money out to the certain residents, but y'all got to go. You hear me? And I'm looking at you and you looking at me. You don't want me to clap? Poppycock! I'll be waiting to talk. And Quincy, Mr. A.C. Dumas, you get out your car again, then you walk down here. How dare you? You sit your butt and try to focus and listen and understand, okay? We got a 9th Ward council person who's doing what y'all should be doing. And furthermore, you know what, I came down here to that fireman's budget hearing. And Lewis gonna say, well, how are y'all doing your recruiting? Are you going to the colleges and are you doing this? Are you telling them they gotta stay here for 5 years? No, they need more money, like you spilling yours. You see what I'm saying? That's what they need, more money. Less in y'all pocket, okay? You understand what I'm saying? Trying to tell them, don't you see what the residents doing? No, you psych us up. So now we gonna get back at you. You hear me? You got to go, you got to go. See you next meeting.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That was the last speaker.
All right, seeing as how that was the last public speaker, it is now time for council response. Council members may respond once to all public speakers. Only after all public speakers are spoken, an individual council member's response shall be limited to 2 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the audience at this time?
Yes.
Councilman Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you to all the speakers who spoke. But to Rich Jones and Claire McClinton, Liz Taylor, when I hear you speak, I always think of your mother. We got history together, and I really love your moms and she was near and dear to my heart growing up. But Claire, me and you, we go back a long time. And you guys talk about us putting residents out. We here to do a job. We allow you 3 minutes to speak. But when we up here and we trying to concentrate on resolutions, it's our time to speak and talk, not the residents in the audience. That's not how this works. What works is when they have you sign up to speak, you get to speak at the podium for 3 minutes. You don't get to just speak out in the audience and just get to speaking out, and we supposed to just sit here and don't do nothing. That's not how it works. I'm not going with say what you want to say, keep speaking out, but we got to have some order in this chamber. And you do not have the opportunity and the right to just speak out in the audience, and we supposed to just sit here and cross our arms because you think we ought to let the audience speak out when we give them 3 minutes. If they want to speak, let them speak during public comment and give them 3 minutes. Y'all keep on making it seem like we wrong. We ain't wrong for wanting some order in here. We want to take care of business, and it is not personal with y'all.
Ma'am, with the white headphones in the back, I am calling you to order. Please stop being disruptive. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak during council response? Seeing as how there's no one else, I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda. We're on to the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'm sorry, Dr. Lewis, you have the floor.
Okay, so I want to put a motion on the floor to pass the consent agenda.
There's a motion on the floor to pass the consent agenda. Is there support?
I support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Are there any separations? Are there any separations? Seeing as how there are no separations, we will now vote to approve the consent agenda, which consists of Resolution 240190, which is the appointment for Human Relations Commission's Nadine Roberts. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. L. Alleman?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett? Yes. The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no, so the consent agenda has been sent to council. I will now entertain a motion, seeing as how that is our last resolution. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Chair, so move.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Mashat?
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett? Yes. Mr. L. Alleman?
Yes.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 no.
The vote is 5 yes, 0 now. It's now 8:50 p.m. and I call this Governmental Operations Committee meeting. It is now closed.